is the Big O Show. This 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 is the Big O Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchased with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Why is it that you get locked out in the worst moments of your life?
Where are my car keys? Man, I can't find my house keys.
In those frustrating moments, you need a locksmith you can count on. A. Lenny Locksmiths in South Florida, from Miami to Port St. Lucie. In Central Florida, A. Lenny locks it down in Orlando and Tampa Bay. Lockouts or lock changes for home or business, car key replacements, and programming all model cars. 24-hour service. Call them at 855-869-5625. Go to the website at alennylocksmith.com.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloan Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloan Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloan Shield.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Beautiful Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. A place we've been rocking for, I don't know what it is, 12, 13 years now? I don't know what the hell it is. You kind of lose count after it's been going on and on and on and on. It's been a long, long time, baby. Yes, sir. It's been a long time coming. That's all right. That's a Greta Van Fleet song. Actually, that's a remake of, is it, damn, from the 60s. What's his name? Damn it. Maybe somebody will guess it now. It's been a long time coming. Damn it. I'm forgetting his name now. It's been a long time coming. Greta Van Fleet, but it's a remake of a famous R&B singer, man, from the 60s. No. Is it Luther Allison? No. Tom Jones probably remade it from that guy, too. Who is it? Right? Yeah. When I hear the name, I think it'll trigger right away. Huh? No, it doesn't seem like that. No. Whatever happened to the theme song? We have it. We play it. Oh, you're talking about the rock one. This is the Big O Show. The one that yeah. I've been wanting to re-record it because it's got some elements in it that I can't use and I don't want to use, obviously. I don't know if it's it's not Louis Armstrong. Sam Cooke. There it is. A change is gonna come. It's been a long time coming. A change is gonna come. That's it. Maximus. Way to go, dude. I knew it was because I have you searching for a long time coming when it's a change is gonna come is called. That's why I screwed up. But I'm just thinking of the song and I'm thinking of Joshua singing it and obviously Sam Cooke also, singing it. And it's Sam Cooke. Thank you. I knew when I heard the damn name, I hate that. That's when those brain farts happen that you know what it is, you just can't remember it. And then that's when you call a friend. Can I call a friend? Can I call Maximus? And Maximus came through for us. And there you go. So yes, I do want to re-record the Big O theme song, but I've had some issues in trying to get it re-recorded. So yeah, that's kind of been the thing, unfortunately. Robert Hunt getting some really good national exposure for midterm top players. Yeah, well, I mean, he has done a really good job. He's grown into a good player. He's become a good draft pick for them. It's been kind of a sore spot because Austin Jackson hasn't come through, although he kind of was showing some signs in this offseason. So we'll see when he gets back if he's able to ever do it again. But yeah, that's been kind of the problem. Eichenberg has been a disappointment, and now the poor kid is now out for the year. That's kind of been the sore spot there. So it's a good thing that Hunt has actually come through. If they can get one more of those guys to come through, then that'll be all right for the investment that they've made, because they've been able to find some other guys too in the process. So they'll be all right. They'll be all right. They'll listen, that front office has done such an excellent job. It's nitpicking at this point when you're talking about a team that is 6-3 and has the potential of making some noise finally this year, which would be really, really nice. Big O, I know she has been serviceable, and I thought he might keep the right tackle spot. Oh, Shell, you mean? That's what you mean. I know Shell has been serviceable. He might keep the right tackle spot when Austin returns. All things considered, I think Jackson gets the start if healthy. What are your thoughts? If Shell plays well this week and Austin is ready to come back in a couple of weeks, when you come back against Houston, I still think Shell starts. If Shell struggles some in this game against the Browns, I could see them saying, hey, that's our first round pick. We got to do something about that. Let's see if he was turning the corner in the offseason. We had him going in the right direction. Maybe he's ready to go, that kind of stuff. So I just think it's one of those where it all depends. And this week will help out a lot. I mean, it's not like Shell's been perfect, but he's been pretty consistent. He's done a decent job at times. It's hard to take the job away from the guy when he's done a pretty good job. So let's see what happens this week with Shell. If he does a really good job, I think he keeps it when they come back until he struggles. And then you start to put Jackson. And remember, Jackson also played guard. So he can back up Robert Jones and back up also Shell. Frankie Fresco, thank you for the love in the super chat. He says, Big O, how about the Gators getting back our QB? Go Gators. What, they lost Richardson or something?
No, Rashada committed to Florida from UM. He switched.
I did not see that.
Well, here's the one thing I would like to ask Manny is I think Gaddis is the one recruiting him. And if he's seeing the writing on the wall that Gaddis may not be here, he'd rather go to Florida. I believe. That's why I think he's more committed to Gaddis than he is to the U. Okay. My thoughts. I don't know.
We'll ask Manny.
It's one of those things where it's odd.
All right, we got Manny at 11. We'll ask him.
Yeah, because nobody else in the class is really moving. But then he came out and said, thank Coach Gaddis. And first, he thanked Coach Gaddis, then Cristobal, then UM. So I think maybe he's seeing writing on the wall because everybody complained about Gaddis.
I mean, Gaddis has done a shitty job. What can you say? Listen, let me get something. Let me get something that I think that should be said, unfortunately. And we got a game this weekend. Tomorrow we'll be at Walk-Ons at 1:30 to get you ready for the 3:30 kickoff. And unfortunately for Mario Cristobal, again, I'm not saying to fire Mario Cristobal. I'm not saying to make a change. That's ridiculous. I'm all in with Mario. I'm here to give him plenty of time to recover from all this crap and and get it right. But unfortunately, what has developed this season is this is a really bad football team, and this coaching staff has done a terrible job. And there's really no other way of spinning for Mario Cristobal and his staff. I'd love to spin it. I'd love to tell you something that is positive and something that is more accurate, of something that really isn't out there. But I'm not going to do that. That would be a lie, right? I'm not going to start telling you what really isn't out there. And what the brutal honesty is that Mario Cristobal and his staff have done an absolutely terrible job this year. Terrible job. And they have not maximized this roster. That's guaranteed. They have not maximized this roster. This roster is not this bad, but they've made it this bad, unfortunately. So this is going to be a strike on them. There's no excuses. You get no breaks. You don't get to point the fingers completely at the kids. When Manny Diaz does a better job than you, that's not good, man. It's just not good. And that's what it looks like now. Maybe these are Manny's players, and they had a much better offensive coordinator. Much better offensive coordinator, because right now, that's the impression I have. Rhett Lashley in today's offense of college football is way ahead of Josh Gaddis. I'm sorry. That's what I'm seeing. Maybe Josh Gaddis is a phenomenal coach, and maybe when he gets his kind of players, but he has shown me he sucks when it comes to having to adjust to what you have. And let me just also say that this complete staff has done a really shitty job of adjusting to the talent that they have on the field and getting the max out of them. Okay? So Mario and everybody else, and Mario's the first guy. He's not going to point any fingers, and he's not going to come back at anybody, because those are the facts. He's not going to make any excuses. And I hope the rest of his staff, I hope they're not making those excuses. They don't get any breaks whatsoever for how they've coached this year. Let's get that straight. Okay? I'm all in on Mario. I support Mario, but I have to say they've done an absolutely terrible job this year. It's an embarrassment what happens week in and week out with the Hurricanes. This football program is an embarrassment, and they will embarrass you tomorrow when they lose to Georgia Tech. Yeah, I said that. Yeah. Why? Because I have zero faith that this coaching staff knows how to get the maximum out of the players that they have here. So we're going to have to wait. They're going to have to clear out a whole bunch of guys this offseason, send them all off to the transfer portal, and they're going to have to bring in their guys, and then I'm going to need to see monster differences to justify all of this. But the one thing Mario and his staff have earned so far in their first year is that they're not a good coaching staff until proven otherwise. That's all we can say. We can't say anything more about this. It's over. They have shown everything that they can show pretty much. And please don't try to spin it like you think they're going to win 2 out of the next 3 games. And they've shown me over and over again when they tell me that they think they've fixed something or they're doing something, and when I see what comes on the field, it doesn't even come close to what they're telling me. So unfortunately, they get an F this year. If we were giving grades A through F, Mario Cristobal and his staff get an F. They did a terrible job this year. Horrible. One of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the University of Miami football program. Anybody got the balls to be honest? I know they can't say that, on the flagship station. They'll have some, wimpy general manager come at them. Oh, please, they're a partner of ours. Again, not saying to fire him, but you gotta put it out there and say, hey, Mario, I'm rooting for you, brother, but gotta be honest, horrible job this year. Horrible job. You had a terrible feel for these players. You have a terrible feel for how to get them better, because that's the one thing. You are 8 games into a season, and you have not improved in any way, shape, or form. You're a terrible football program. You started as a terrible football program. 8 games in, you're a terrible football program. You're not even going to a bowl game. Do you know how pathetic that is? Everybody goes to a bowl game, dude. If you can't win enough games to go to the bowl, and you're not even playing the SEC, you're playing in another crappy conference called the ACC. And that's what ACC stands for, another crappy conference. And you can't get to a bowl game? That's a bad look for them. And there's no other way to, dress it up. You can put lipstick on a pig, and it's still a pig. And it's a disgusting performance this year by the Kane staff. So they get to go on probation next year. That's what they get to do. Unfortunately. But that's how it is. And if they don't want to feel a hot seat, they better come through next year, because they're not going to fire you. But into year 3, oh boy, there are going to be plenty of people that are going to want to fire you. So year 2, there better be some drastic changes, because by year 3, you better be pretty damn good. There's no year 4 or 5. Year 4 or 5, you better be championship contenders. But year 3, you better show some serious improvement. I'm talking about you're challenging for the ACC title. I don't know if you have to win it, but you better be challenging for it. And if you're not, then you're not the staff for this. And by the way, this will be the end of. They won't spend again after this if they screw this up. This is why it's really big that Mario succeeds, because I don't believe that they'll continue down this path. They're fine just cashing in the check from the ACC. Anyway. Let's see. Ken Sean says, I cannot wait till Bitcoin hits 10. All the Binance, Terra, Avalanche, Luna, Ethereum weak coins will be washed out, and the standard spending coin to narrow but transparent. Ken Sean, to think that Ethereum is going to be washed out and weak coins, that's ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. But whatever, bro. Big O, to expand the Austin Jackson question. If Shell starts at right tackle, do you start Jackson left guard over Robert Jones? No, I don't start Austin Jackson at all if the other guys are playing well. Austin Jackson hasn't earned anything. Nothing. He's never done anything in the regular season that you have to say he's a must start. He was showing us something in the offseason. Maybe it was about to translate into the regular season. But right now, if Robert Jones is playing well and Shell plays well this week, and he's kind of put together 3 pretty decent weeks, I don't think you make any changes until somebody gets injured or suffers a setback. Jose says, I think the other way around. He did not like Gaddis's playbook that we are still waiting to see open. You know what? That could be it. He might see that Gaddis is not having any success with the other quarterbacks, and he's like, do I really want to play with this guy? And so
but the only thing that I say no to that would be he opens his statement and the first coach he thanks is Gaddis.
Well, the guy that's recruiting him.
And no, but that's what I'm saying though, and I think it's more the fact that he knows Gaddis isn't going to be here.
Not really.
He knows Gaddis has been recruiting him. He knows what Gaddis's book is.
Yeah, but Gaddis not going to tell him I'm gone because he doesn't know that either.
Have you watched Twitter?
No, I know. I get it.
If he stays, I think there's going to be more of a revolt if he stays as offensive coordinator than if he gets fired.
From who?
The Hurricane fans.
Oh, no. But
I think more fans want him fired than Josh Boyer.
Yeah, definitely. Josh Boyer's done a good job. That's just clueless by those fans. Gaddis has done a shitty job. You can pick on Gaddis. Picking on Josh Boyer is kind of asinine. But whatever. The style of football Mario wants to play does not have the players for it to be. No way this team should be this bad. Well, Mike, that's my point. That's why it's shitty coaching. So if you don't have the players, you know what it reminds me of? Jimmy Johnson and his shitty coaching with the Miami Dolphins. You didn't have the Dallas Cowboys. Who the hell told you can run the Dallas Cowboys offense? You want to be a big power running team without the Dallas line and without Emmitt Smith, with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar scoring 15, 16 one-yard touchdowns. That's what Jimmy did. He took away Irving Fryer. He took away the audibles from Dan. He took away the running backs. Oh, and let's not forget at the University of Miami, he continued to let Vinny Testaverde throw the ball and throw themselves right out of a national championship against Penn State. But hey, he's God. He's perfect. There are times that I just think that there's an overrated part about all of that. And there's too many of you that just get completely suckered into the Jimmy Johnson black hole too. BlockFi days might be numbered. Listen, BlockFi is going down also, not May. And FTX US, the government basically just warned yesterday, you may want to take your money out of FTX US. Some guy reached out to me today. He says, "Hey man, I took out all my money of FTX. Thank you." And all that. And you can do not keep anything on any exchange. Crypto is strong. It's fine. It's the exchanges that are the problems. The DeFi networks that are the problems. Those are the people that are mishandling the funds. It's no different than banks that go under or anything like that. It's all the same thing. It's just one of those deals. Anyway. Coinbase CEO came out yesterday to give everyone the same warning. Offshore changes are not. Yeah, of course not. But it's really simple. Cold storage wallet. And you never have to worry about any of that. Just move your money, man. But exchanges are only for you to buy your crypto and then move it to your cold storage wallet. That's what you do. So, Big O, I know you said in the past that your father was a huge Dolphin fan. Can you share his favorite player and how he helped develop your fandom? Zonka was his favorite player. He loved freaking Larry Zonka, bro. And we were, since the early 70s, when I was a kid, he was watching the Dolphins religiously, and obviously I was there with him watching the Dolphins, giving him fives, and wearing my little Dolphin T-shirts, and it was just one of those things. Dolphins, boxing, and baseball. Those are the three things that life revolved around for my dad. He was a Yankee fan. He loved his Yankees. He loved boxing, and he loved the Dolphins. Those are the three things that he would religiously follow. And Dolphins, I became, a major fan, obviously, to this day. Never became a Yankee fan. I would never do anything like that. That's easy, lazy. Let me pick the team that's won a whole bunch of championships. So I went with the Phillies back in those days. See, I'm a brave soul. And I took them before they won the 1981 because I had them in the 70s. So when they won in 1980, that was awesome. But anyway, as I digress, watching football with my dad every Sunday on television, and going to 7-Eleven and buying a Slurpee every day with a Dolphin player on it, Norm Bulash or Larry Zonka or Larry Seipel or Bob Greasy. What? Cards? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. So I'd collect all that stuff. And big Dolphin fan, man. It's just one of those deals where, and then we got tickets in the mid 70s. We were in the box right on the, we were on the visitor side. I want to say about 30-yard line. 30-yard line on the Orange Bowl went, did it go east-west or north-south? East-west, right? It went east-west, right? Yeah, so west side. Yeah, it went east-west, right? No, it went north-south. It went north-south. Yes, it went north-south. So I was on the south end of the right? No, or wait a minute. The back end you can see downtown, right? When it was open. No, it was east-west. The west side of it. There you go. You get old, you get confused. So the west side visitor, about 30-yard line. Those box seats sucked, by the way. Just let's just call it like we see it in the Orange Bowl. The box seats suck. The only box seats that were good in the Orange Bowl were the ones closer to the end zones. Do you know why? If you had box seats inside between the 30s, you had the effing players standing right in front of you, dude. You could never see the near sideline ever. So you never knew if something was out of bounds or whatever because there was too much clutter going on. Let's be honest now. Those box seats did not really go over the players that were right in front of you. But it was fun to scream at the visiting players and, tell them how much they suck and all that. Frankie says, "Oh, ACC does suck, but the Big East was worse." Well, the Big East is the Big Least. Let's get that straight. One's called another crappy conference, and the other one's called the Big Least. So that's what we used to call it. What else? And when you guys moved to the ACC, that was the last time you guys ever competed for a championship. Well, they don't spend anymore, so that's what it was. It had nothing to do with moving over for the ACC. It was just that football had changed, and you needed big money, and Miami was not spending big money on their coaches or their programs, so they fell behind. Now's when they're going to do it, so now it's going to take them a little bit to gather back. It has nothing to do, the ACC or the Big Least, it has nothing to do with the conferences. They can smoke. Frankie, think about that statement you just said, okay? Think about that statement. Think about it, and I love you, but think about how stupid that statement is. Okay? Who gives a shit if you're in the Big East when you're squashing Oklahoma and Nebraska? Who cares, bro? So you beat up on everybody in the Big East, but when you went out of conference, Oklahoma was scared of playing you, and Nebraska was scared of playing you, and Notre Dame was scared of playing you, and all of that. And you would kick all of their asses left and right. So, Frankie, get that conference thing out of your mind, my brother. It's a silly ass statement you made. They were winning back in the Big Least because they were badass teams. And in those days, you could find coaches under the radar because you didn't have to pay them. And in those days, the players didn't require you to be Nike or Reebok or have a facility that is so amazing and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, the materialistic part of the world stepped into college football. Now you've got to pay your coaches. Now you got to pay your assistant coaches. fell by the wayside. Now you've got to come up with first-class facilities. Miami could not hang with Florida State and Florida and Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, all of that. Because all of a sudden now the material part started. Had nothing to do with the Big Least, dude. They were kicking everybody's ass. Texas, whoever it was that came down or they went, they were always happy to go to Notre Dame or anywhere else and kick their ass right on their home field, bro. So it had nothing to do with the conference. I hope you understand what I'm telling you now, because you're dead ass wrong. Had nothing to do with the conference. Has everything to do with the way football was done. Back in the day, they were lucky. Money was not an issue at that time. It wasn't required. Now, money is required because your assistant coaches, your coordinators are going to be making $1.5 million, $2 million each nowadays. Your head coach is making $8, $10, $12 million now. And if you're not willing to pay that, you're not going to compete with the best programs, because they have the best facilities and they pay their coaches the max. That's what left Miami by the wayside. Now we're going to see if Mario and all the money and all the commitment can get them to fast forward and catch up to everything else. But it had nothing to do with the big lease, my brother. Love you, Frankie, but brother, you couldn't be more wrong. Stadium will be, why? The stadium's packed now, Jose? Yeah, for what? Oh, yeah, one game, yeah. Right, for FSU? Yeah. And then the FSU fans were left over and everybody else left. Let's see. Good morning from Los Angeles, where our state capital is more disgusting than the Commander's owner's box. God. And California is such a beautiful state. A lot of great people there, and it's just some wacky ass stuff that's going on in the West Coast, man. Big O, how do you think the Finns will handle the Browns' monsters on the D line? I think they'll do enough to win this game by 7 points. That's what I think. Okay. Anthony says, Big O went to Sports Grill yesterday. Mike, the owner, told me that the Doral location will be ready after Thanksgiving. Also, you're going to be there for the Dolphins Sunday when it's ready? No, sir. I will not. Reese says, Josh Boyer, no, doesn't suck. No interceptions, no turnover, 35 points a game. Great job. There you go. Ethereum is the most probable layer 1 winner. This is where the most money in compliance. Proof of stake was a requirement to move forward in the layer 1 race. DeFi is the biggest use case. ETH most secure. Of course, ETH is going to be a monster. That was me, Big O. Thanks again. What was that, Julio? I don't know what you mean by that, but that he got. You moved. Good for you, bro. Good for you. Move your stuff, bro. Move your stuff off every exchange. Oh, have you read the Athletic article, Mike McDaniel and the rehabilitation of the Miami Dolphins? Not only does it underscore the benefit of McDaniel's style, it highlights how it's perfect for Tua. I have not read it. I'll check it out. Later on today when I'm relaxing. How many years do you give Mario to turn this around? I already said it, 3 years. I need to know after year 3 that you're kicking ass. By years 4 and 5, I need you challenging for a national title. Okay? Next year, I need to see some drastic improvement because you brought in a crap ton of your players. And then year 3, I need you challenging for the ACC title. If you're not challenging for the ACC title after year 3, you're behind, because I need you challenging for a national title in years 4 and 5. You have enough NIL money. You have enough in the transfer portal, and you've been recruiting 4 and 5 star guys. I don't want to hear any excuses. You got everything you need. Everything. Like, you know what? As much as I'm a Tua guy, the first 2 years fighting all these idiots that didn't know jack shit about this, if after I fight for all of this, he gets Mike McDaniel and gets these receivers and he flops, then I got nothing to say. I got to say, you know what? I talked all this stuff about Tua. I said he was a star. I said, what did I say? If he's in Minnesota, they're in the playoffs, right? If he's in the Rams, they win the Super Bowl last year. If he's in Tennessee, they go farther in the playoffs with him than they will with Tannehill. Didn't I say that last year and the year before? That's who he is. If he ends up getting all of this stuff and flops and doesn't play the way he's playing, then I got nothing to stand on and say, well, I was wrong. Well, Mario's got everything, dude. He's got Ruiz. He's got the administration behind him. He's got a staff that he could pick. There are no excuses anymore. I'm a Mario Cristobal guy. I'm a Tua guy. Now, they have to do their job. Tua did his. He backed me up. And I got Mario's back. But I'm not going to also lie for Mario and say, oh, no, Mario is doing the best he can, and I think he's getting the maximum out of these guys. No, he's not. No, he's not. I'm not going to start the first year by lying about it. I'm not happy with what Mario and especially his offensive coordinator, who I think has done a dog shit job this year. I hope I'm clear enough about Josh Gaddis. Dog shit. Okay? Dog shit. You get no excuses here. I don't play that game here. I don't have to play the politics. I don't work for a corporation. We are our own corporation. I'm not tied to any team. I'm not tied to any program. I don't have to kiss their ass. So it's up to Mario, bro. Get it done. Do we have Cam Wolfe yet? Send Cam Wolfe a damn reminder there. What the hell is he, Cuban? Big O, believe it or not, I have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar jersey still. Dude, I have one also, Mark. Monday in the studio, I'll whip it out, and the jersey too. Another year of the Canes doing this, Mario will have to go. Now, bro, they gave him a 10-year contract. Papa, get a brain, my brother. He ain't going anywhere for a while, okay? He ain't going anywhere for a while. So that's not going to happen. Orlando, Larry Zonka was the greatest Dolphin ever. Agree or disagree? Nelson, it's a subjective thing, but nobody can disagree with that. The titles are there. The production's there. I could give it to Marino, and I probably will, because he was just so amazing. And he did it with, no running game, no defense and stuff. But how am I going to argue with anybody that says Larry Zonka after you watch what he did? So I think it's a subjective thing, Nelson. I can't call anybody wrong with that one. I have to say, no, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. You want to say Marino? I'm good with that. You want to say Jason Taylor? I'm good with that. But yeah, no, Zonka, wow. It's a great discussion is what it is. That's what it becomes. A phenomenal discussion. All right, let's do it, baby. Cam Wolfe, Cuban Cam Wolfe, is ready to go. Let's unleash the Wolf Pack.
We unleash the Wolf Pack as we get the latest in the NFL and the Miami Dolphins with our KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL Network insider Cameron Wolfe. KSDT is one of South Florida's largest and one of the country's fastest growing accounting firms. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370. Here's NFL insider Cameron Wolfe.
All righty, there he is.
What's good, man?
Did you have your Cuban coffee yet?
I did not have my Cuban coffee. I'm in Charlotte still, so I'm trying to make sure I can get out of here. They delayed my flight twice, so been on the phone with my flight people, make sure I can get back home.
Maybe they don't want you back home. Maybe that's what it is.
Right. I believe it.
So.
They probably don't,
I think the wife and the kid called and said, keep him out there. We don't need him here anymore. He's bothering us.
It's better.
It's better. Stupid show with Orlando twice a week making noise. We can't stand it. That's probably what's going on.
Yeah,
that's
exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
They're like, at least keep him through the weekend. We'll take him back on Monday, but keep him through the weekend.
Yeah. I may be the one that got you kicked out of the house. Who knows? Who knows? By the way, your basketball team almost beat the Heat last night.
Who's my basketball team?
Well, you're in Charlotte.
Oh, I see.
Get it?
Yes.
Get it? By the way, isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing to you that Michael Jordan is the greatest player ever, and as good as a player he is, he's that bad of a general manager?
It doesn't amaze me because a lot of times you see that. I mean, we saw Derek Jeter. It didn't work with the Marlins with Derek Jeter. No. A lot of times just the average players, the backup quarterbacks, and the guys who never saw the field who end up being the star coaches.
Yeah, the catcher,
Yep, the catcher, the backup catchers too. It's not
the backup catcher. You're right.
Not even the all-stars. It's the guys who just been, watching, sitting. So it actually does not surprise me, but it surprises me that he's kept it up as long as he has. Like if I'm Michael Jordan, if it didn't work, like I'm not gonna lie to you, I probably would quit. If it didn't work the first 3 or 4 years, I'm like, hey man, I got plenty of money. I'm a billionaire. I'm the greatest basketball player ever. I got the greatest sneakers ever. I'm gonna go do something else. But credit to him, he has not quit. He has just put out bad team after bad team every year.
That's a credit to him. Okay. All right.
He didn't quit. I mean, that's perseverance, man. I would not have that. I would not have that. You could call me a quitter, but I would be done.
I mean, but the ego, brother, just go get a general manager.
Right.
Go get somebody that does this for a living. And, because you're worried about, getting a cigar and a little bourbon and hitting the back nine during the day. You got to get a guy that, what people don't realize is that those general managers, they have no lives. Those are the people and Michael wants a life on top of being that. And unfortunately, head coaches and general managers in all sports, they don't have lives.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. They have to have that sort of focus. And the other element of it that I think prevents star players from doing it is they always see everything in their lens. Michael Jordan expects everybody to be Michael Jordan. And so he has very little patience, and he also probably is not a great evaluator of talent because of that. And so, I think it's tough. So I don't think they'll ever have a good team there. But he keeps trying.
No, I'm with you there. By the way, you look at the Dolphins this week against the Brownies. How you looking at this matchup for Miami? What's the key for you there?
Yes, interesting contrast of styles, right? Because oddly enough, the Dolphins are the air raid team that throws the ball over the field with Tyreek and Tua and Jalen and the Chubb, and the Browns, led by Nick Chubb, are the old school grounded out. And so I'm eager to see how the Dolphins defend the run. They let Justin Fields go off this past week. They've actually been pretty good against backs, but not quarterbacks. And so, Nick Chubb's probably the best in the league as far as outside zone, and that's something that they have had some struggles with. And so I'm curious to see how they stop that element of it. I think this game is more about containing the edge than rushing the passer. I think they'll score points on this Browns defense. I'm not afraid of anybody. They just got to make sure the edge rushers can contain Garrett and Clowney. But other than that, their secondary is not super scary to me. They should get Denzel Ward back, who's been missing the last 5 weeks. But as we've seen all season, nobody can cover Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So I think the Dolphins will be in that high 20s, 30s category. It'll just be up to the defense if they can stop a nosebleed like they couldn't against Chicago.
Is the criticism of Josh Boyer fair? Because I find it to be absolutely unfair. I credit Justin Fields for last week. When you're a great athlete, just like Tyreek, you're going to make people look stupid. And what I love is that you just said it there. They've had some problems with the running quarterback, which, my God, how many people have problems with those kind of guys?
Yeah.
It's not easy to catch the chicken like Rocky. So it's just one of those deals. And then they clearly forget that when Tua was out for 3 weeks, Boyer's defense did a pretty good job of keeping them in games. And then the other thing is, even when they've, and Boyer was talking about this himself, was it yesterday or the day before when Boyer talked? I'm not exactly sure, but he was talking about how one of the things that he likes about his guys is that they find a way to make a play when they have to make a play also. And that kind of happened in the Chicago game. Duke Riley had a big play, big tackle at the end there. Guys made some plays in the end to kind of seal the deal in that game. So the criticism of fans, because I don't think a lot of the local media has actually been on Boyer, but I get it from a lot of fans. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think obviously he has to take some culpability when you're giving up 30-plus points in back-to-back weeks, but I don't necessarily think it's a whole scheme issue. If your issues with Boyer, then you think that the scheme's the issue or he's not coaching the guys well enough. I think the issue has been because of some injuries they have been forced to play a defense that is not their defense. They've been forced to play zone defense a lot more. And this is not a team that thrives in zone coverage. And so we've seen them not be able to play their aggressive man coverage, zero blitz. We're going to give it to you. We're going to turn over the ball type defense because you lose Byron Jones, you lose Nick Needham, you lose Brandon Jones. You haven't got top tier Xavier Howard this year. And so your secondary, which used to be the strength of the team, is now a liability. And so to me, that's the part of, and maybe Josh hasn't done a great enough job helping them get to zone. Maybe that could be your criticism there. But if you're a man team, if that's what you do, that's what your identity is. I don't know how many teams mid-season can change their identity completely and still be a good defense. And so the pass rush has always been an issue. That's something that I don't think is coaching. I think that's a talent and a player execution thing. But the secondary, to me, has been the most alarming thing. And I think a lot of that's based on the coverages they run. So I think that, Josh Boyer knows that his guys can't give up 30 points on a regular basis and expect to win. And so that part of it is on him. But I think that overall, I think it's a combination of the injuries and also guys who are paid a lot of money not really living up to their contract so far this year.
Right. I can't blame him that he's playing with corners 5, 6, 7, and 8, along with a backup strong safety now. That's going to that's why you're going to give up a bunch of points. Mm-hmm. And then I can't blame him that Agba and Jalen Phillips aren't getting the sacks that they're supposed to. And that's why the front office said, well, we got to go get another guy and let's go get Chubb because we can't expose this secondary. So we've got to increase the pressure. And obviously they're hoping that with Chubb, that will help out. So you nailed it. They had to change their style. They don't have Byron Jones. They don't have their lockdown corners. So if they don't have their lockdown corners, the front seven can't play the way they normally play. So now they've had to readjust, and the talent doesn't fit what you're actually playing right now. So right. It's hard for me to ask Boyer to ask corners 5, 6, 7, and 8 to play like corners 2, 3, and 4. I just can't ask you to do that. And then Brandon Jones is impossible to replace. There's nobody on the team unless Veron McKinley, is something special that they, like Kohu has turned into something for them. Then maybe, that will help out. But for now, I don't know of anybody that even comes close to what Brandon Jones can do for this team. And it's a devastating loss for them.
Yeah, that was a big loss. Brandon Jones had been playing really well. Kader Kohu has been playing well, so he's filled a role for sure. Now, I will say this. I think that all the things I mentioned are good context, right? The injuries, the scheme change, all that's good context. But I will say the really good coaches are able to adjust to their personnel. And maybe this is an opportunity after this week when they have their bye week coming up where Josh and the defensive staff can really dial in and how can we because the reality is it isn't going to change. I think if you're holding out hope that Byron Jones is going to come back, I think that's hopeful wishing. Nick Needham's obviously out for the year. Brandon Jones is going to be out for the year. So these are all things that have impacted them. But the reality is if the Dolphins want to get where they got to go, they got to go with this group. And so you can't just say, hey, hey, woe is me. We've been hurt. It is what it is. No, they got to adjust. So I think this bye week is an opportunity and a challenge for Josh Boyer to say, okay, we've been dealt the hand we've been dealt. It's not ideal. We've got to switch our coverages. How can we maximize our group with playing more zone coverage? How can we get more out of our group with doing that? And so that's my challenge, I guess, for him and the coaching staff.
But wait a minute. Hold on a second. Have you watched X play?
I have. It's a challenge for him too.
And where is that Boyer's fault that he is not at that he's clearly not himself? Okay, Cam, they are attacking X like any other corner,
right?
Week in and week out. Where is that Boyer's fault?
I wouldn't say it's completely Boyer's fault. I'd say it's mostly Xavier's fault. He's got to play. No, it's not all. Let me explain why. Okay. As we talk about Tua and what McDaniel's done for Tua, your job as a coach is to do what your guys do best and to motivate and help their confidence get up. I think that Sam Madison hit it on the point that X has to get his confidence back. That's partly him, mostly him, but also your coaches have to do a good job of picking up players and helping players get back to who they are. And so that is some culpability for the coaches in that situation. They've got to figure out a way. Emmanuel Ogbah has not played well so far this year.
He's not a good psychologist. So now we gotta
no, but come on,
Boyer.
Man. Nah, don't do that.
He's got to work X's at this point in his career. If I got to work your psyche, then something's wrong with you, dude.
But you can't call it both ways.
Or are you not a great player?
Listen, you can't call it both ways, because if I'm right, you were the guy who criticized Brian Flores for how he treated Tua and how he didn't give him the support and all of that things. And he did that, right? And he needed the boosting up and the confidence, that sort of thing, right? And now we're seeing how Tua's playing with it. And so at the same token, if you're not seeing that otherwise, you're saying, well, X needs to be this, X needs to. Everybody needs a little bit of something. It can't just be your quarterback.
That's apples and oranges. Josh Boyer is not telling X, I never wanted you. I don't want you to start. In fact, I'm going to start Keon crossing over your ass. No, that never happened, bro.
Right. I'm not saying it's apples to apples.
The coach went out of his way to bury effing Tua. The coach has done nothing to bury X. Right. Josh Boyer has not done anything. It's all on X to play well. And unfortunately for X, he does have a groin injury, or maybe groins. I'm not exactly sure if he still only has 2 or 1 or whatever. So it's hurting him. But I can't blame Boyer for X's, downplay right now. And in a way, I can't also blame X either to a certain extent, because injury is injury. It's going to take apart. But he's not himself. They're attacking him. And what else is Boyer supposed to do? He doesn't have a number 2 corner. He doesn't have a number 3 corner. His number 4 was True Williams. He's out for the year. So now you got a whole bunch of guys. Keon Crossan should not be starting anywhere. Let's be honest now. I mean, this is the way it is. He's out there, but he really shouldn't be out there. I don't know. We're asking Boyer to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and that's what I mentioned at the top. But at the same time, your job as a coach is to do that. And so that's why I said I do not give a lot of blame to Boyer. That was your initial question, right? I don't give a lot of blame to Boyer. But at the same token, even though I don't blame him for this, I do say that the second half of the year is a challenge for him to take this, what he has, because it's not going to change, and maximize it. He can't just put his hands up and like, oh, well, all my corners are hurt, so it's not my fault that we suck. He can't say that.
And he's not.
Right.
And he's not. Did you see his interview?
Right. I'm not saying
he laid on the sword for the entire interview. I got to do a better job. I got to do a better job putting my guys. And I'm sitting there going, way to go, coach. Way to stand up for your guys. But you don't have it's interesting how they're number 5 against the run going into last week before Justin Fields just absolutely destroyed them. But against running backs, they're fine. Against these running quarterbacks, which a lot of people struggle with, but in the secondary, they're really struggling overall. It's funny how they have players up front and they can do pretty good against the run. Now, they haven't done great against the pass rush, but on the secondary, it's hard to do your job when you're just not good enough, Cam. There's one guy playing at an elite level and nobody else.
That's true. And you got to get more. I made that point at the point. You got to get more from Xavier Howard. Whether you say, and I recommended this before. Maybe this is a week where you say, hey, if I can get him fully healthy, if the injury is truly still an issue, sit him for this week, send him through the bye, and you get 2 weeks of rest, and ideally you come back and he's back himself. I would take that risk against a team like Cleveland, but that's a coaching decision. That's something the coach would have to make a call on, right? That's a bold move and something that the X probably wouldn't like. But if you feel like it's best for your team, that's a move you have to do. If that's the reason why you think he's not playing to that level. These are things that I think come involved in sort of being a coach. So I don't know.
All right. And so now, as I've said, cornerback 2 has been out all year. Cornerback 3 is done for the year, and cornerback 4 is done for the year. X is injured. Brandon Jones out. So if you want Josh Boyer to help you out, well, guess what Josh Boyer did in the offseason? Josh Boyer in the offseason went and scouted a guy, and he found him. And his name is Kader Kohut, and he's developed him. and he's the best corner on the team right now, probably in front of X. Okay. And as you see, CBS went out and put their rookie rankings. Kader Kohu is number 6 in rookie. These are a bunch of first and second round picks that are on this list. Here's an undrafted dude out of Division II. So here's a guy that's coaching and scouting for you. And the only guy in the secondary outside of course, the safety that is excelling is this guy. The other guys, Crofton, not good enough. Elijah Campbell's not good enough. Come on, man. And then X is injured. So it kind of shows you that Boyer is, he kind of knows what the hell he's doing. It's just right now, maybe his hands are a little tied with some of the situations that are going on in that secondary.
No, absolutely. I think that's the best thing about Josh Boyer. And he has a lot of good qualities as a coach, but he has a unique knack of finding hidden gems and making them true players. And he has a very accomplished history of that. Malcolm Butler from New England, that was Josh Boyer. Jonathan Jones, New England, that's Josh Boyer. J.C. Jackson, that's Josh Boyer. Nick Needham, that's Josh Boyer.
So why do we want to fire this guy?
And so I didn't say who said
the fans, bro. The fan. I'm not saying you or me, dude.
I was about to say that's a strong man.
I started the damn question by telling you no local media is saying fire Josh Boyer. Right. I'm getting bombarded by fans that can't stand this guy, and to me, it's freaking clueless. That's
I think the reality of it is, like any common situation, if your defense is struggling, you're going to naturally blame your defensive coordinator. It's just the natural thing to do, right? Like before you get into nuances, my defense gives up 30-plus points back-to-back weeks. Whose fault is it? The defensive coordinator. It's the same thing, offensive coordinator. When Tua wasn't playing well, it's, what's Mike McDaniel doing? I mean, when they were struggling those 3 games without Tua, it was, McDaniel can't do it, and so it's always going to be the natural thing, and so that doesn't bother me. Everybody's always
but Cam, then we're not fair. When Tua's out for 3 weeks, Josh Boyer's defense kept your ass in the game and gave you chances to win, and so how this fair weather world is. So all of a sudden, there are a couple weeks where things are rough. And you're like, okay, now we want to fire him. And it's like, you don't remember during those 3-game losing streak? Why? Because you were losing. That's why you don't remember it. But the defense actually did a decent job during that 3-game losing streak. It was just that the offense couldn't score points. No shit. Your guy was out. Uno's out. You're done. But I think Josh Boyer gets mistreated, bro. I just do. I really do. It's kind of, I almost feel like I'm fighting for Tua again. That's kind of what I feel like again. I'm fighting for Tua. And Chris Greer, by the way. Chris Greer and Tua that I had to fight for the last couple of years. I feel like I'm doing the same shit right now for Josh Boyer. That's what I feel like.
I hear you. I don't have any issue with Boyer in the sense that you got to fire him. I do think the defense has got to be playing better. I think it's interesting how we've seen a little bit of a switch the last few weeks on the offense carrying the team. But the reality is the defense has carried the team for years. And so as long as it shifts at some point, because you can't continue to win shootouts, but as long as the defense gets it together to an extent at some point, you'll be fine. I think the worrisome thing is if it becomes a trend. Right now it's just 2 games. Like you said, the defense played really well early in the season against Buffalo, against Pittsburgh. They won those games among others, New England. And so they've shown elements of that. It's just, okay, have we seen the best of it, or are we just dealing with some consistency issues? I'm fine with consistency issues. That happens in the course of the season. You're going to have bad games. You're going to have up and downs. But if this is the defense we're going to see the rest of the season, then that's going to be a huge issue.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. There's no doubt about that. All right. What are you working on the NFL Network so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, man. I actually am leaving Charlotte. I actually did the Thursday night football game this past week, which wasn't
maybe you're leaving Charlotte.
Maybe. Hopefully. Currently, the flight is scheduled to leave at 12:30. We will see if I leave at 12:30. I don't know.
Shit. That's right. The storm is going through there.
Going up. Yep.
Yeah. I forgot.
And so I'm getting some of it. So yeah, I escaped on the way out, but may not escape on the way back. We'll see. But yeah, I did this Thursday night football game. I actually told a really cool story about Jake Matthews. If you guys didn't see it, guy, the left tackle for the Falcons. Sure. He ended up leaving Charlotte, where he was yesterday at the team hotel, to fly to Atlanta because his wife was in labor. Saw his baby boy delivered. They actually drove him to Atlanta because they couldn't find a private jet in time. So he drove 3 hours speeding through traffic, got to see his baby born, then came back on a private jet from the owner. I was talking with the head coach throughout, and he was trying to track him, and he literally showed up about an hour before the game and ran into the locker room and changed. It would have been a more fun story if they won, they lost, but still, nonetheless, like he and his family are going to remember that forever. You know, can you imagine? He woke up at 5 a.m. with 10 missed calls from his wife, and saying we're in labor. She was supposed to come on Sunday, and baby came when baby came. So that was a cool story to tell. So I told that this week, and Sunday I'll be back at the Dolphins game. So I will be checking out what they do against the Browns before the bye.
How disgusting is Marcus Mariota? Holy shit, dude!
Yeah, it was a rough game for him, man. I did.
That throw he attempted from the floor, that it was a dead ball because he had been tackled. Like, what are you thinking, bro? And the fact that the coach was like, no, I had no intentions on benching him. And I get it. You got the Cincinnati kid, you got the third rounder, but and I get it. It's a terrible division, so you're in the middle of the race and all that. Right. But Marcus Mariota, bro, the decisions he was making in that game. Yeah. I mean, I get it, man. It's a mediocre league for quarterbacks. Half the league doesn't have a real quarterback. I get that, but
wow.
I
think he was trying to force some things. He got a lot of criticism over the last couple of weeks because they were super conservative. They like to run the ball a lot. They don't throw it to Kyle Pitts and Drake London.
He's that way. No, wait. That's who he is as a quarterback.
Right. Exactly.
And by the way, keep him that way, because if you dial it up, this is what happens.
Exactly.
He's not capable of doing that.
Yeah, and I think that this is a situation kind of like with Tua with the sliding, where Marcus probably heard a little bit too much of you're not throwing the ball, you're too conservative, and he got in his own head. And I think the hope is that he goes back to, even if he's only throwing the ball 15, 20 times a game, and it's just really efficient, that's where you get the best Marcus. You're handicapped, you're limited, but that gives you the best chance to win. And so, yeah, last night was rough for him, but I will give Dolphins fans this. I've known Marcus since Tennessee days, and he saw me in the locker room, and he wanted me to send a message to Tua that I'll send. And he's like, hey, tell Tua, man, I've been loving how he's playing. I just got one message for him. Please slide. And I said, that's a message that I think Dolphins fans would share as well.
Yeah, everywhere. He looks like a nice guy, and I had one of the coaches on in Hawaii about a year ago, or whatever, and he was talking about how Mariota and him were in the high school system and all that kind of stuff. But
Tua's mentor was actually Marcus. They were the same high school, and so they came up the same way. Like, everybody wanted to be the next Mariota, and then Tua became the guy, and now everybody wants to be the next Tua. And so it's sort of a bloodline of sort of Polynesian quarterbacks that hasn't been a thing in the NFL until really these two guys done it.
Yeah, but there's only one real passer, and that's Uno. Uno's the real passer. Mariota will never. And by the way, he wasn't accurate at Oregon either. So it's just one of those things that's kind of been part of his DNA. He doesn't have the dead ass accuracy that Tua has. He doesn't have the ball placement and the anticipatory skills of Tua. That's a gift. People. I said it in the Dolphin media room, a couple months ago, and I felt the snickering, and I said, hey, I've seen the Breezes and the Montanas and the Greasies and the Tarkentons of the world. This is one of those guys. And if you look at it in the generations, there aren't a lot of them, Cam. It's Greasy and Tarkenton kind of in the same era. Then came Montana. Then came Breeze. There's not a lot of those guys that come through the league that aren't the big arm guys, but they're the big accuracy, anticipatory, all those kind of things, vision. That's what all those guys had. He's that generation. He's part of that. And I felt the snickering and all that kind of stuff. And now more people are probably going to have to shut the hell up now because they're going to see, because I keep saying he's the lefty Montana. The lazy comparison is Steve Young. He was never the runner that Steve Young was. Steve Young is Steve Young played like a fullback playing quarterback early in his career, which was really dumb. He took on a lot of hits that he didn't have to. But he's Montana. I think the guy that the Dolphins have is Montana.
Well, that's a lofty comparison, but he has played really well this year, so we'll see. But yeah, let me run, man. I got to catch this flight, but we'll catch you after the game on Sunday.
Maybe you'll catch the flight. Maybe.
Yes, hopefully.
Be safe, brother. All right. We'll talk to you later. Yep. You got it. The Wolf Pack has been unleashed. Hour number 2 is next.
This has been the KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL insider Cameron Wolfe. KSDT is recognized by Forbes as one of the top tax accounting firms for 2022. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370.
Oh, great. You have a doorbell camera. Now you have a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
They're breaking into my house!
Ooh, there goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No, not the TV!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Sloan's, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, free doorbell camera, one that'll actually work for you.
Get out of my house!
Get out of the house! Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Why is it that you get locked out in the worst moments of your life?
Where are my car keys? Man, I can't find my house keys.
In those frustrating moments, you need a locksmith you can count on. A. Lenny Locksmiths in South Florida, from Miami to Port St. Lucie. In Central Florida, A. Lenny locks it down in Orlando and Tampa Bay. Lockouts or lock changes for home or business. Car key replacements and programming all model cars. 24-hour service. Call them at 855-869-5625. Go to the website at alennylocksmith.com.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All righty. Welcome back, folks, as we take you till 1 o'clock here at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines, folks. We still have 2022 TLX models, $1,000 loyalty savings. Got some RDX too, $1,000 loyalty savings. Got the 2023 models in. The ILX is just absolutely awesome. They've got hundreds of vehicles here, new and certified pre-owned. They've got many more coming in every day. So come on out here to 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 in Pines. Finest dealership in the business, baby. It is Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Yes. All right. What else? A lot of people believe Flores is D and Boyer was the puppet. This may be part of Jones' problem coming back to play. I agree with Cam on setting some for health, though. That may be the buy. Yeah. To me, I just find it all ridiculous. I just find it ridiculous. I think Boyer's done a very good job overall. And he has a absolutely impossible situation. And as somebody put, Christopher Henry put, if Boyer had a healthy defense, things would be much different. And when you're built to have two shutdown corners and then pressure in the front seven, all of a sudden now you no longer can play like that because even your number one corner isn't a shutdown corner right now either. So then all of a sudden now your front seven cannot do the things that they normally can do. And it just changes everything. And then you're asking the defensive coordinator to make wine out of water. And I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. And he's got to find a way to just keep them in games and make plays in crucial moments. And that's what they've done. You got to, I think I've been saying this now for 2 weeks, right? This team is different. You guys have been programmed for 20 something years now that the defense bails the offense out. You need to reprogram yourself, okay? The offense bails the team out now. Are we understanding ourselves? Stop asking for something that's not realistic. They don't have the secondary anymore. Without the secondary, it ruins the front seven. Not exactly sure that some of you out there are really understanding what the hell is actually going on with the Dolphins. Zonk on the Today Show, pretty cool to learn that the co-host Harry Smith played DL with Vernon Herter at Central College in Iowa. Vernon Herter was an all-time underrated Dolphin. Yes, he was. Very good player. Big O, winter is coming. Cleveland and Houston are must-win games. Last year at this time, they lost to Jacksonville and Atlanta, which kept us out of the playoffs. Dolphin 13, what have I told you already? What are you doing, bro? What the hell tells you this team is anything like last year's? What the hell tells you this team is anything like 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 15 years ago or 20 years ago? What the hell do I keep telling you people? Stop living in the goddamn past. Does Mike McDaniel resemble anything that Cam Cameron did or Tony Sperano or Adam Gase? I'm sorry, I must have missed it. I must have missed it. Is Chris Greer Spielman or Saban or Wanstead or Ireland? I must have missed it. I'm sorry. Tyreek and Waddle is that like any of the receivers you've had here in the last 20 years? I must have missed that too. Wait a minute. Last time I checked, they lost only because Uno was out. They're 6-0 with Uno. So whatever they lost last year, that was last year. Stop living in the past. I keep telling some of you Dolphin fans, I get it, your butt hurt, bro. I get it. They suck. They've been an embarrassment for 20 years. This isn't that franchise anymore. You people have a real hard time developing confidence in your team. Seriously. They beat Buffalo. They came back from Baltimore down 21. You're nervous against the Browns. Yeah. It's just really, it's amazing to me how so many of you live in the past. Let it go, man. We suffered enough. We're done with that. This is a good team. This is a fun season. And they've got a bunch of injuries and they're still winning. They lost their quarterback for 3 games and they're still winning. Stop living in the past, dude. John Geeb, thank you, sir, for the love on the super chat. Does it frustrate you to watch pundits move the goalpost for Tua week in and week out, no matter what he does? Yeah. In fact, I'll give you a funny story. I'm driving here, right? And I'm listening to Joe Rose. And on Fridays, not last Friday because I wasn't on the road, but this Friday, when I'm on the road, I usually tune into Joe to go check it out. And he had Florio on. And Florio's a horse's ass. He doesn't know jack shit. And so it's one of those, like, he's a clown that got the whole Tua thing wrong, right? So then what was it that he was saying to Joe that I was laughing my ass off, and I turned it off right away after I heard it for like a minute. I was like, okay, this jackass just doesn't get it. He was wrong. So, because that's the thing. All these Tua haters, right? These Tua absolutes, what I call them, the absolutes. Oh, he's too short. He's got a noodle arm. He can't play. He's too lazy. He can't take tough coaching. All those lies. And so I think the way he phrased it to Joe is, well, now we've got to see if he can win in big moments and get the team to the next level and see if he can do it on a consistent basis and all of this kind of crap. And and I'm sitting there going, yeah, dude, just admit that you're wrong, bro. Take the L, man. Just take the L. The guy's the top passer in the league in practically every category. Take the L. All he was doing was crediting the receivers and the coach and the play design. I love that. I love how they think you can plug in and play any quarterback in the system and they're all going to do the same thing. Poupart does that shit and drives me crazy. That he thinks that if you play Teddy Bridgewater and give him practice time for a couple of weeks and he goes out there, you won't miss a beat. Get the hell out of here, bro. A guy that's never averaged 2 touchdowns a game is all of a sudden going to start doing it? Get out of here. That's not in his game. Teddy can't play like Tua because Teddy doesn't see the field like Tua. Most guys don't see the field like Tua. I get it. People have a hard time understanding that. Well, what do you mean? Oh, he hasn't been in the league long enough. What are you saying? You can't see it. Just watch the goddamn game. Watch him manipulate coverages, things that Ryan Tannehill can't do to this day. 10 years in, he doesn't know how to manipulate coverages and move safeties. It's amazing to me. It really is. So, yeah, they keep all the jackasses that keep moving the goalposts for Tua, all of those people, they can't say I was wrong. Because you have gone from the extreme that he couldn't play, and now he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now, stats-wise. We know Josh Allen and Mahomes and guys like that, and obviously the career Rodgers has had and all those guys, obviously better than Tua because they've already established it long-term. I get that. But stats-wise, the guy's playing like the best quarterback in the league right now. It's hilarious. It's like watching all the excuses made for Herbert, but not for Tua. Which, by the way, I heard Joe also with, and by the way, congratulations to Brian, what's his name? The punter that's on? Monroe. That's the first guy that I've seen on Joe's show to actually challenge Joe with his weak-ass Justin Herbert takes. The first guy that I heard on that show actually challenge him with those weak-ass Justin Herbert takes. Good job by you, Brian. Nice job. Brian was like, what's he want? What's he doing? And Joe said, well, he's elite. He's spectacular. He's not elite. No, he's not. You got to actually get somewhere to be elite. Manny's ready to go? All right. Let's switch gears. Let's downshift. Unfortunately, down to first gear. Manny Navarro and our Miami Hurricanes. Our Canes where Miami Hurricanes report is next.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Time for Canes fans to get what they want. Information, insight, and perspective. It's the Caneswear Miami Hurricanes Report with Manny Navarro, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Here's Big O and insider Manny Navarro.
Alrighty, we are back. Manny Navarro is ready to go. How you feeling, my man? You feeling good?
Feeling as good as I can. I'm getting ready to. I'm actually driving to the airport right now to get ready to take off and go to Atlanta.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Cam is. We just got off with Cam. He's in Charlotte. His flight was delayed because the storm is going right through there now. But at least the storm had already gone through, so your flight shouldn't be delayed or anything like that. You should be all right, which is good. Now the Canes coaching staff not all right, huh? Apparently a quarterback has decommitted, so the first crack of the class has happened.
It appears so. I mean, we knew that eventually there were going to be some decommitments, right? I mean, you lose four straight games at home, you get blown out 45-3. It's probably inevitable that you're going to have some guys that jump ship. But I've had some conversations this morning with different people. And, I think the feeling is they still feel they've got a very good quarterback who's a part of this class. The 3-star kid out of Milton, Florida, who's been committed just about as long as Jaden has. And I know he's getting recruited by Florida State and a couple of other programs, but Miami feels very good about him. And, it's going to happen, and I think part of this, too, is one thing people have to realize throughout this entire process is, and we talk about it all the time, you and I, you have me on when all these kids commit in the springtime and the summertime, and we talk about it then. It's a marathon, but then the last 6 weeks in November leading into December, that's the sprint. That's what really matters, right? And I think for Miami, the most important thing to them is that the rest of this class stays intact. They have some other needs. Offensive line, for instance, defensive line, cornerback. They feel good about the kids that they have in that group. And I think ultimately, the quarterback position is going to sort itself out. The transfer portal is an option. It's always an option. And sometimes, it kind of dictates what you do as far as high school recruiting. If you can get a good starting quarterback, a guy that's a quality player somewhere else who wants to leave that school and come to your school, I think you entertain that thought, but at the same time, I think, the guys that are here have been struggling, right? I mean, it's not like they're doing a great job, so it'll sort itself out. But here's what I'll tell everybody. Like, you want to get excited about the recruiting rankings? Keep doing that. Go ahead. I know that makes your day. What matters in the end is do these guys become anything when they get here? And that's how we're going to judge Mario.
Right, exactly. And before I get to that part there, because I do want to something I talked about earlier before you came on. First of all, with the quarterback, because we were talking about this, and Sean was pointing out how he thanked Gaddis first. And then Sean thinks that maybe the kid's seeing that Gaddis is not doing a good job with this offense, and the offense doesn't look good, and that maybe Gaddis not going to be here next year. And maybe that's why he's like, yeah, Gaddis, the guy recruiting me, he's probably not going to be there next year. I'm out of here. Or it's what I think. I think the kid sees that, it's what I talked about earlier, and it'll segue into what I was going to ask you. Overall, this coaching staff has to view it and say, we've done a shitty job of getting the max out of these guys.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of kids must be seeing that. And I'm just wondering if that's what that kid saw and said, they're not getting the max out of these guys. I'm afraid of going there. Maybe Josh is a nice man, but I'm not happy with the way he's running that offense, and I'm the quarterback. So I don't know if I want to go there. So is it more about the kid worried that Josh Gaddis isn't going to be here? Or is it more about that the kid isn't very attracted to what's going on with Gaddis and his offense at the University of Miami?
I think it's a combination of things, though, to be honest. I think if you look at, the situation of Florida, first of all, he was very enamored with Florida. Like, people forget, Miami basically stole him from the Gators, right? I mean, he had gone to take a visit there on June 7th. I was in Las Vegas when the kid was playing in a 7-on-7 tournament right after his visit to Florida. And the feeling was, well, yeah, the Canes want him, but the kid wants to go play in the SEC for Florida. And, NIL happens, things happen, conversations happen. And the kid wanted to change his mind and said he wanted to come to Miami. So to me, I think this is much more about where did the kid really want to go from all along, right? Where did his heart tell him to go? How much did NIL interfere per se? And then, the last aspect is you look at this offense and you look at the quarterbacks and the struggles, right? You say, well, Anthony Richardson is going to be leaving after this year, supposedly, right? He's going to be going to the NFL. I can go in there and start. Who knows what Miami's going to do? Maybe Mario fires the offensive coordinator, and the offensive coordinator wants a different kid to play quarterback, and I wasn't recruited by that guy. So all of those things play a factor, all of it.
Yeah. No, it's just – and that's the thing. And I think for Mario and his staff, this is going to be a bad look for them because they have not maximized this talent. And, it's kind of like what Michelle said in her article, that Manny Diaz was doing a better job with these guys. And that's –
well, they were Manny's players. They were Manny's guys. Like, that's exactly the whole aspect of all of this is if you don't recruit the kid, if the roster's not yours and you inherit – look, Manny Diaz struggled, and he was on the staff his first year, right? I mean, he was the defensive coordinator. But what was his problem? He didn't know anything about the offense. The offensive players didn't want to play for him. It wasn't until – De'Aaron King and Lashley got there that they got things right. It took them a year to figure. I mean, they were horrible in Manny Diaz's first year. They were 6-7, and got shut out 14-0 by Louisiana Tech. So I think a lot of this today, unfortunately, in college football, it's predicated on how many of the kids want to play for you. How many of them did you recruit? Like everybody says, well, what about USC? Well, go look at that roster. His starting quarterback is the same guy he had at Oklahoma.
Right. Yeah. He brought him with him. Yeah.
He brought him with him. Like there's that helps. I mean, that helps solve a lot of problems, dude.
Well, no, it not only helps, but Lincoln Riley.
Well, I mean, he's an offensive mastermind.
I don't give a shit what award Gaddis won last year. Okay.
Oh yeah. No,
let's not even compare Lincoln Riley's offensive mind and talent to find quarterbacks because that's what he does compared to Josh Gaddis. Josh Gaddis is a nursery child next to Lincoln Riley offensively. Seriously, let's just call it like we see it. One guy just recruits Heisman Trophy winners, and the other guy maybe has guys that can polish the trophy. That's about it.
Absolutely. And I'll say this, Bruce Feldman had a great article this week. We talk about Josh Gaddis. He had a fabulous article on the guy who's really helped Jim Harbaugh fix Michigan, because Michigan, everybody forgets, Michigan was in pretty bad shape, right?
Yeah, man.
And in that article, there's a lot of Josh Gaddis and a lot about how basically the coaching staff didn't want him to be in charge last year of the offense. And there was a lot of sort of infighting and, guys that weren't on the same page. And ultimately, if it wasn't for some of the other people intervening, Michigan wouldn't have got its act together. And ultimately, Gaddis left, it seems like, when you read that article in large part, because he didn't have a lot of support. Now he comes here, he's got an entirely new staff he needs to win over, an entirely new group of players that he hasn't worked with. He was on that Michigan staff for 3 years, by the way, before he really, was in charge of that offense. And so, you inherit, basically that's the guy Miami got, a guy who was having troubles at Michigan while he won the Broyles Award with the staff. And so all of those things, I mean, it's never easy to come into a situation, and find the right chemistry. Sometimes it takes a little bit of work. The good thing for Miami, and I wrote a huge article today in The Athletic about why there's been 19 years of mediocrity with this program and what they have to do to fix it. The good thing is that Mario signed into a 10-year deal, And now you're finally going to have some effing stability. I mean, Mario, I've been told this by different people. I don't think the earliest he gets fired from this job, assuming this turns into a disaster, is year 6 or year 7. So he's going to have time.
They're not going to swallow all that money for sure.
But
by 6 or 7, buddy, if you're not winning, he's going to want to leave.
Exactly.
Because they will fry his ass everywhere he goes. In fact, before you came on, bro, year 3 has to be the year. Year 3 has to be the year that you're breaking out and that you're like turning into a hell of a program into years 4 and 5. Next year, you better get rid of all those kids that you don't want to coach, bring in extra kids now, do whatever you got to do. And then in year 3, that next round, and you better be challenging for the ACC title in year 3. Put it that way. Not winning it, but you better be challenging it. And by year 4 and 5, you better be right up there with Clemson. If you're not, then you're not doing the job because you have every resource possible, and you've got a guy that is spending boatloads of money for you on the NIL side to help your ass out. And if you can't identify the right coaches, which it looks like you failed with Gaddis, well, you're going to have to make a change quickly. Just like, hey, look, Chris Greer. Chris Greer's done a terrific job. Did he screw up with Flores? Yeah. Now you gave him a chance to correct it, and he corrected it. Now, guess what? Maybe Mario may have to do what Chris Greer did. I like my staff, except this guy here, I made a bad decision. And you better go find your Rhett Lashley. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you don't, because you're watching Rhett Lashley put up 70 points last weekend, and you put up 3. What the hell is that, dude?
Yeah. And let's not forget, I'm not making excuses for them, but there have been a boatload of injuries on the offensive line, and
I get it.
And all of that is obviously sped into this. So, are the players as bad as they've shown? No, they shouldn't have lost to Duke. They shouldn't have lost to Middle Tennessee State. But look, all of these issues have sort of compounded themselves. It's been a disastrous year. But do I still have faith that Mario Cristobal is going to figure it out? And am I still confident that the University of Miami is going to back him and give him the money and resources he needs? Yes.
I agree.
And that's something that none of the other coaches before him had. Maybe Manny Diaz would have been a success had he been given all those resources. Who knows? Maybe. We'll never know. Maybe Mark Richt would have been more successful if he wasn't getting ill at the end of his career. We don't know.
That's the thing. Yeah, Mark had the health issues already at that point, and so that was already kind of taking over the poor man.
Right. But my point is just that, look, he's got a much better situation and background to work with. That's why I feel more confident he's going to get things right, because it's just those are things that you need in college football today. And I'll say this, I think I need to make this point. I think one thing that they're doing here, and again, I told you this a while back when Mario first got here, he needs time to learn these players. He needs time to sort of get a feel for recruiting back here in Florida and in this area. I think you're going to probably see a couple more decommitments, maybe from guys that they don't really like, that the more time that they've spent talking to them, the more time they've gotten to know them, that they're like, hey, you know what? Maybe you should go to another team, And I think that's certainly going to happen with this roster. I think there's going to be a lot of guys that they say, hey, you know what? You really aren't a fit here. Why don't you? And I think they may even help some of these guys finding other places to go. Because they want to change the culture. That's the number one priority right now, is changing the culture. And I think you can recruit all the talent in the world, but if you don't have a good culture, if there's not a good, sort of center, then you're going to fail in a lot of places. And I think that's ultimately what they're trying to do right now.
By the way, is Zion really an excuse when you're really never healthy?
No, I mean, look, he really never got back.
You're going to tell you, hey, there's a whole bunch of injuries on the offensive line. The first thing that came to my mind was like, Zion's a sack of injuries. So like you can never count on that guy.
The last 2 years have been rough. The first 2 years he was fine. He played a whole lot. But but you know what that is? That's a guy who was naturally 240 pounds, right? And now he's got to play at 320. And what happens to your muscles and your bones when you put on 80 pounds in 2 years?
Right.
You're going to break down. And that's the problem. That's why you gotta recruit guys. Zion was a guy who was headed to Appalachian State, okay, when Miami got him. That's why you gotta recruit guys with the big frames and the big bodies that you don't have to put 80 pounds on to make a player.
Right. They're already 300 pounders when you get them. I got you. I'm with you there.
Right.
All right. What are you working on?
And that's like a Nez Cooper.
Right. Exactly. By the way, I'm expecting them to lose tomorrow. I hate to say that, but I'm expecting them to lose. I really don't think they'll win.
I am as well. I am as well. I think Ja'Carri Brown is starting tomorrow. Ja'Carri Brown.
Good.
He'll be starting for Miami. From my understanding. And, we'll see what he can do. I'm excited. Give the kid a chance these last 3 games to run the offense. And let's see what he does. I mean, he's got some weapons. I mean, there's guys. I mean, he's got Will Mallory, who's a pretty good tight end. He's got, Don Chaney Jr. might be coming back for the last 2 games. You still have Henry Parrish. You got some other guy. Colby Young could go get the ball. So let's see what he does. And look, Georgia Tech's not a group of world beaters. So you have a chance to win the game. Let's just see what he does.
Let's hope Jake Garcia is transferring to Mississippi Valley State in the offseason. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Catch his work there at The Athletic. Better yet, subscribe to The Athletic and support
Ton of good stuff.
Site. Yes, plenty of good reading locally and nationally too at The Athletic. Manny, as always, thank you, my brother. Have a fantastic weekend, and we will talk post-game tomorrow.
All right, brother. Take care.
Thank you. That is Manny Navarro and our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
We are back. And we thank Manny Navarro. We're about to be joined by Joe Shad from the Palm Beach Post. And we'll get into it. We'll get into a little hijinks with our hijinks sports grill, Miami Dolphins report.
Dolphins fans, it's time to talk to the man with incredibly high standards. It's not easy to score an A or grade 10 out of 10 with this guy. In fact, he isn't impressed with Joey Chestnut's dominance, Usain Bolt's speed, or even Evan Ginkel's locks. Will the hijinks continue? Can the Miami Dolphins do the impossible by getting a passing grade with Joe Shad? It's time for the Hijinks Sports Grill Miami Dolphins report. This report is brought to you by Hijinks Sports Grill in Boca at 133 Southeast Meisner Boulevard. Enjoy happy hour 4 to 7 p.m. Reserve a VIP table online and receive 1 free sparkling wine. Follow them on Instagram at Hijinks Sports Grill. Here's Miami Dolphins insider Joe Shad.
Yes, let's get into a little hijinks with the one and only Joe Shad. How you feeling, my man? You feeling good?
What's up, Big O?
Oh, I can barely hear him. There we go. Let's do it again.
What's up, Big O? How are you today?
There we go. A little bit more. All right, yeah. It's maxed out. All right, I hope you guys can hear him out there. Joe, going into this matchup, what concerns do you have?
Excuse me.
Besides coughing.
You probably heard that after you turned it up.
Yes.
Listen, Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett, 2 of the best players in the National Football League. You think, Cleveland Browns. Well, this Cleveland Browns team does have a lot of talent. They can run the football. They can get after the quarterback. They have a good offensive line, obviously a power running game. So I think this is going to be a highly competitive game.
Yeah, it's very low audio. Yeah, what happened, Joe? Where are you at? Because it sounds really low.
All right, I'm at home. Let me just jump off of my Bose headsets, and I'll just talk into the phone.
There we go. See, Bose is letting us down. Bose is good for the speaker side, not the mic side of it, I guess. It's what it is. Watch, it's going to be louder. You can feel it already. It's getting louder, right?
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no
Thank
problem.
you. Okay. Now you sound like Joe Shad. See? Now there's no hijinks in the way. So we like that. See, everybody's like, better. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. They want to hear you, Joe. They want to hear what you got to say. All right. So your concerns going into this game.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard any of what I said a minute ago, but Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett, two of the best players in the NFL. You know, you hear Cleveland Browns and you think, oh, well, this should be an easy week. Well, no. I mean, this team has some good talent, some 3 really good offensive linemen, maybe even 4.
Did you switch? Did it switch back? Yeah, something happened because it switched. You went back to low again.
I don't know, man. I'm on my phone. So
There we go. Now you're good. You're good. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just saying that this is not a poor Cleveland Browns team. This is a team with lots of talent, especially Myles Garrett and the pass rush and Jadeveon Clowney. Those guys can get after it. And the Browns have 3 good, maybe even 4 good offensive linemen, and obviously a strong power running game with Nick Chubb. So I expect this to be a highly competitive game.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't necessarily think they're going to blow them out, but I do think they'll win by a touchdown at least. I really do. I think they'll be sharper, and I think that because it's not a running quarterback, I think they'll do a better job like they have all year against the run. They struggle, and like most teams struggle against Lamar Jackson running or Justin Fields. God bless him. He had like a career-like game last week. He put together a Picasso of a performance, but it's just one of those things where I expect them to be a little better because it's a traditional running game that they're facing, Joe. Right?
Yeah. We haven't talked a lot about Landon Roberts and Jerome Baker and Duke Riley, but certainly, and a little bit of Channing Tindall getting some action, but those Dolphins linebackers, the guys who occasionally do line up in the middle of the field, especially without your favorite player, Brandon Jones, being available. They're going to play a key role in terms of run defense. And we'd like to also see Raekwon Davis start to make a bigger impact. He's a very big man, and he's capable of doing more.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think Raekwon has had he's improved, but it's kind of slightly, and we haven't seen enough of those explosive plays where you just absolutely blew something up and ruined a short yardage situation or caved in a pocket or something in a key moment. We haven't seen enough of that yet from Raekwon Davis, and he's had what I consider a little too many of the injuries. In other words, he's missed a little time to it. I think a little too much too for a short career.
Yeah, I mean, injuries really affected Raekwon last year. I know at some point I think he was ill. He had maybe COVID or something, but yeah, I think there are a handful of Dolphins defensive players who can do more, including, of course, Emmanuel Ogbah and Xavier Howard, and both of those guys are healthier. I wrote a column about that in the Palm Beach Post about how for weeks and weeks and weeks, both or at least one of those guys have been on the injury report. And listen, we love X, we love Ogbah, but it's a fact that X has 1 pick in 12 games, and Ogbah has 0 sacks in 2 months and 0 batted passes for the entire season, which is odd because he's been the best in the NFL at that for years.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the optics are going to look bad. It looked like you busted your ass for the money. You got your money, and now you're not producing. And that's happened a lot to a lot of players. You were an underachiever in your career up until you got to the Dolphins, and then you kind of found out you're at the back end here. If you don't perform, you're not going to get paid. Well, you performed. Now you got paid, and now you're coming up short. And the optics are not good for Ogbah, too, on this one, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you're a defensive end and over your right shoulder are Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, like good things should be happening for the Dolphins. More good things, more pressures, more hurries, more sacks, more. When was the last time the Dolphins came in and stripped the ball from the quarterback? Right? Like, when was the last time that happened? I don't know.
Sealer did it, didn't he? And it wasn't a Sealer a couple weeks back.
Okay.
Was it
Did
Lamar
the Dolphins
Jackson?
recover? Did
Was
the
it Lamar
Dolphins recover?
Jackson?
Okay.
Did they? Yeah, I think the Dolphins did recover. Didn't wasn't a Sealer that forced a fumble and did or Phillips forced a fumble
Okay.
and Sealer recovered it.
Well, they need more of that stuff, and
Yeah, you're 1,000%.
They need more of that stuff. And
Yeah.
listen,
You're right.
starting Monday, I'm hoping to bring back the tape. Don't lie, Big O. It's been tough for me to study the film with the eye injuries, so I'm hoping starting Monday I'm going to bring that back, and I'll be able to give you a little more film study stuff.
Okay, I like that. I got into a conversation with Cam, and I'd like to get into it with you also on this. I feel not anybody in the local media. Okay, this isn't a Tua thing that I can actually go after some of the guys in the media that were like, oh, yeah, he's not good enough. In the local media, it's not happening. But I'm sure you're getting it, like I am, from the fans. People want to fire Josh Boyer. And I feel people have been absolutely unfair to Josh Boyer. I can't blame Josh Boyer that his number one corner is all injured and hasn't played well. Okay, I can't blame Josh Boyer that his number two corner is been out for the whole year. His 3 and 4 are out for the year. He's playing with 5, 6, 7, and 8. He's playing with Brandon Jones backup, which nobody can replace that guy. And then Agba, which we just talked about, and Phillips aren't rushing the passers the way they should, the way they need to. And again, not having shutdown corners may also be affecting those guys at getting the passer too. So let's also be honest here. That may hurt the pass rush because of the bad corners. You could get rid of it quickly. But there's a bright spot in the secondary in Kader Kohu. Well, who found him? Josh Boyer, and he's the one that's helped develop him.
He's a good scout.
And I think he's done a good job. Even when Tua was out for 3 weeks, that defense played well, bro. They kept doing games. They gave you chances to win. And I get it. It hasn't been pretty the last couple of weeks with some of the points, but I got to also tip my hat to Justin Fields. It wasn't that there were bad play calls. I saw Dolphin players there trying to make a play, but they were there to make a play. But unfortunately, Justin Fields was just better at making them miss. And in other words, for me, I think that Josh Boyer is being treated unfairly by a lot of the fans. The media has not said anything. I haven't seen anybody write and say, oh, Josh.
Well, I wrote a column prior to the Steelers game saying, based on the Dolphins' early season defensive struggles, is it possible that they're missing the schematic game planning and in-game adjustments of Brian Flores? So I am kind of the only person who's written that, and now it's sort of become trendy and popular to criticize Boyer.
Yeah,
listen,
but
Boyer.
That one also did that mean anything when they were 1-7 last year? Or you're just conveniently using it on the second half when they didn't play a lot of good quarterbacks. You know what I mean? That's that you threw out there. I'll slice that shit up and put all kinds of holes in it, because in the first half of the season they played all the good quarterbacks and they got roasted by Brian Flores and his defense. And in the second half, sure, they played better, Joe, but they played a lot of the shitty teams. And
who you play has a lot to do with it. And they got Jacoby Brissett. Listen, you got Jacoby Brissett and Davis Mills coming up.
That's right.
So let's see those teams.
Josh Boyer thing. Do you think
I know.
are fans overcritical of him? Fans,
well,
not you, not me, not media. Fans.
No, I mean, fans are fans for a reason. They're fanatics. They get very emotional, and sometimes we do too. But listen, Josh Boyer yesterday stood 5 feet away from me and said that he needs to do a better job of putting his players in position against running quarterbacks and to have better success in getting off the field on third down. So if Josh Boyer says, I need to do a better job, first of all, kudos to him. It's important to do that. It's important to do that. And second of all, he's a little defensive right now because he hears the criticism. He senses the criticism. He knows he's trying to point out some statistics that are a little bit in the Dolphins' favor because he knows that so many of the statistics are bad right now. There's no way in the world that this defense overall in general should be 23rd in total defense, 25th in scoring defense, 27th in third down defense, 29th in takeaways, and 20th in sacks. At worst, they should be a top 15 defense based on the talent. This is a very, very talented group despite the injuries. So it's a long season. It is true that the defense has pitched 2 second-half shutouts in recent games. It is true that the defense has made key stops in critical moments in recent games. And we do have to point that out, in addition to noting that overall the metrics have not been good.
By the way, same thing under Flores. They weren't shutting teams down. They would bend all kinds of ways and not break and make plays at the end. That's exactly what they did.
It's okay to give up yards, yeah, but they need to be better on third down. They need to be better in turnover margin. It doesn't make sense that they're approximately fifth in blitz percentage and in the low 20s, 29th or something in sack percentage. It doesn't make sense. Or pressure
because you don't have
percentage.
a secondary, my brother. Because
Well,
you
no,
have no
but
secondary. So the secondary can't hold the receivers on their initial routes. So they're finding holes quickly, and it allows the quarterbacks to get rid of them. And so they're making yards on them. So it's not like they've got two corners on each side that are stopping those guys from getting through and forcing the quarterback to go to their second, third, and fourth reads to buy time to get to them. They're finding their first reads right away, and they're burning them. And so it's hurting the pass rush, not having a secondary. That's how you built the defense. You built the defense to have two guys on an island so you can free up the strong safety and create more problems up front. And you can't do that now because you don't even have one shutdown corner. They're attacking X like they attack any corner on the team right now.
yeah, I mean, he's statistically one of the worst rated pass coverage in the NFL. And you have to say that the groin injuries, which have affected him week after week after week after week after week. And Sam Madison pointed out, listen, missed practice time during the season and before the season. Look, X knows he needs to be better, and I'm sure that he will be much better in the second half of the year, especially now that he's feeling better physically.
Well, he better, because I already got a house for a week in Arizona. So, we already rented a house for a week for the Super Bowl. So you better pick that shit up. Don't laugh. You may not have a hotel. You might ask me for a room. Be careful there. Okay? So don't laugh. We might be there.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, this is an average team that really shouldn't even be 6-3. But, what matters is the record. And certainly the Dolphins would sign up for 6-3. Anybody would at this point.
I know they should be 8-1 or 9-0 is really if their quarterback wasn't out. I don't worry about the stats. I worry about what I see on the field. They make plays and they can score. Remember, that's the other thing, Joe. I think the media also needs to reprogram themselves, like I've been telling the fans. You need to reprogram yourself that this is no longer a team that's going to be bailed out by the defense. This is a team that needs to be bailed out by its offense now.
And they're probably going to have to outscore the Browns.
Yes.
And I hope it doesn't come down to a Jason Sanders kick. I hate to point out Jason Sanders.
They will have to outscore Green Bay,
San Francisco,
the Bills, everybody on their schedule. They're going to have to outscore, Joe. They're not going to be shutting anybody down, my brother. They don't have the secondary to do that. They just don't.
I wanted to tell our listeners
yes.
To look out for a story that I'm going to post later today.
Mm-hmm.
I interviewed 12 people about what makes Tyreek Hill unique, coaches and players and whatnot. And I think it's kind of a neat little story. And so look out for that. He's one unique cheetah. It's going to be posted on the Palm Beach Post later today.
And you are one unique writer, and we love having you on every week because you're always involved in hijinks. Thank you, sir. Be safe. We will talk to you next week, my friend.
Appreciate it, man. Be well.
Thank you. That is Joe Shad of the Palm Beach Post. The hijinks are done.
This has been the Hijinks Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Report with Joe Shad. This report is brought to you by Hijink Sports Grill in Boca at 133 Southeast Meisner Boulevard. Enjoy happy hour from 4 to 7 p.m. Reserve a VIP table online and receive 1 free sparkling wine. Follow them on Instagram at Hijink Sports Grill.
All right. So it's a catch-22 with this defense, and I don't think people understand that. If you took Sam Madison and Pat Surtain away, it will be harder for Jason Taylor and company to get sacks because you're just going to be able to attack the secondary a lot faster. It's an example? Playing Tua last year. He had no line, right? So what did he have to do? He had to make a quick decision, bro. If not, he was dead. You know what I'm saying? And that is, and so it's kind of it's a little different of an example, but it also is kind of the reality of what the Dolphins defense is. You don't have shutdown corners. So you don't have people that are forcing the quarterback to go into deeper progressions, which then forces them to hold the ball a little longer, which then buys that defensive end time. And by the way, Sean looked it up. I forgot to tell Joe. It was Javon Holland forcing both fumbles and both recovered by Ingram, which is a great stat, by the way.
Yeah, one was the touchdown against
Right.
New England, and then the other was against the Bills.
Right. That's awesome. The fact that the same dude forced a fumble, who's a stud, and then Ingram collected both of them. That's just awesome. Rosendo says offense wins games and defense wins championships. Yeah. Yeah. The only problem is there a shutdown defense out there? Is there one, Rosendo? Is there a shutdown defense? Because Buffalo didn't shut them down. They lost. I guess the game's changing a little bit, Rosendo. I guess the cliches also need to get adjusted a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It would help. It's nice to have a shutdown defense, but you better have also, an offense that can score points in this league. I don't think it's one of those things that you're looking at and you're going, oh, my God. And here's the other thing. Is there really a defense that's going to shut this passing game down? I don't know about that, man. I don't think so. To be quite honest, I don't see it. We have a top 5 QB, 2 top 5 wide receivers on this average team. What the F is he talking about? I don't know. What does he mean by that? St. Mike. Oh, I guess he's not talking to me. You think he's talking to somebody else or talking to Joe or something? I don't know if it would be something that Joe said. I just think it's we can't ask of the defense something that they don't possess. And it just gets to the point where we're unrealistic because you just don't have the secondary. And you just can't ask somebody, hey, make Keon Crossan Byron Jones. And do me a favor, go over there and go like this, like Miyagi, and put it right on X's growing and fix it. It's just not going to happen. Oh, the most receiving yards by an NFL duo in history, 95. Herman Moore, 86, and Brett Perriman, 1,488 yards. Oh, 1,686 in yards for Herman Moore. Brett Perriman, 1,488, 3,174 yards total. Tyreek and Waddle have 1,916, needing 1,259 yards to break the record. And they're going to do it with their number one quarterback playing 14 of the 17 games, which is amazing. Yeah, talking to Joe Shad, Joe said we're an average team that's lucky to have 6 wins. Yeah, I found that to be humorous. That's it. Yeah. That's exactly what you were talking about, right? St. Michael. I think is it St. Michael that said it, right? I think that's what he was talking about. Yeah, I thought that was silly too. Just like the whole thing with they're missing Flores. And that's what I love about Joe, that he is they're missing Flores. Well, you're being choosy here. They're missing Flores what? Because the second half of the season when they didn't play quarterbacks? But what happened the first half of the season when they played quarterbacks? Why don't you say they're not missing that Flores? And then when he's describing the defense, that's exactly the defense under Flores. They would give up all kinds of yards. And then when you would get in the red zone, they would find a way to make a play. How many times did we talk about the bending and not breaking thing under Flores? Yeah, the Patriots way, exactly. So what are they doing now? They're bending and not breaking. It's just, it's arguments that you use and you spin them to try to, but you don't really look at the reality. They're missing flow. What do you mean they're missing flow? The second half of the season of flow? Not the first half, right? So they're not missing flow. And that's some of you out there. It's,
Also, the second half of the season, he wasn't talking to the team.
Right, and supposedly after Thanksgiving, he wasn't even talking to his coaches in the second half. So if you're not talking to the coaches, then what the hell are you doing? Because the coach is the ones coaching on the field all week long. Come on, man. Aaron B says, Big O, please remind the customer of the Chiefs versus Buffalo game. Please remind the customer. I don't know what that means, Aaron. Yeah, it might be some typo that I'm not understanding. Yeah, missing flow. He wanted to get rid of Tua. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the other part I told Joe the last time when he brought that up. They're missing. I go, no, bro. You can't say missing flow because it's all. You have to encompass the whole thing of flow. It's not just that he was a defensive coordinator. It's everything else that he was destructive at. So, yeah. All right, we are hitting noon, which is fantasy football time. It is time for you to – go ahead, Sean. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, with flow, this offense doesn't exist.
Oh, no.
I mean,
yeah. He wouldn't even allow them to acquire all this stuff. No. He would have cock-blocked most of it.
Tyreek Hill is a Jet. Believe that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Tyreek Hill would be a Jet. You are correct. If Flo was here, Tyreek Hill would be a Jet. Let that simmer there for a little while. How about that? All right, Scott Pianowski is ready to go. You got your fantasy football questions? Let's go. Line them up right now. Put them in there on the YouTube chat board. You can send them in. Also on our Welt and Rayom text line, 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056 on the Welt and Rayom text line. We've got Scott Pianowski here at noon. Cameron Wolfe. Ira Winderman will join us at 12:30, so we'll talk a little basketball with him. Get those fantasy questions in. Welt and Rayom text line, 855-912-1056. Hour number 3 is next. Scott Pianowski will join us to answer your fantasy football questions on our sportsgrill.com fantasy football zone.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. PPR, Draft, Keeper, Dynasty. It's the Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone with Yahoo Sports' Scott Pianowski. Keep up with your fantasy football teams by visiting any of the 8 great Sports Grill locations. Sports Grill, good food, good drink, good friends. Here's Scott Pianowski.
All right. There we are, the man, the myth, the legend that is Scott Pianowski. How you feeling, baby?
Doing great, man. Doing great. You know, it's Week 10, we don't know if Josh Allen's playing. We don't know if Matthew Stafford's playing. Tom Brady's in Germany. Good teams on bye weeks. It's a fantasy. You survive fantasy seasons, right? I always say the skill in fantasy is making the playoffs, and then you hope to get some good bounces or good breaks in the playoffs. But it's survive in advance, man. We're starting guys who weren't on radars. I'm Donovan Peoples-Jones is like in my rosters. This is what fantasy is. It's a game of attrition.
Yeah. I always say half of it is skill and half of it is luck. You got to know what the hell you're doing, obviously, but then you also need the breaks, dude.
For sure.
The injuries just.
I mean, who wouldn't have taken Jonathan Taylor at first or second? I know some people preferred McCaffrey, and they're feeling really good right now. But you would have taken, if you were in a league and McCaffrey went first and Jonathan Taylor was there, you would have taken him. And what's happened there, right? They have no more cards to play. They've changed quarterbacks. They've fired offensive coordinator. They fired their head coach. They have nothing. Taylor may play this week, but good luck behind an offensive line that's been decimated. The 2 worst running teams in football are the Colts and the Buccaneers. And I know a lot of draft capital was spent on Jonathan Taylor, who got hurt. And I know a lot of draft capital has been spent on Lenny Fournette. My joke about Fournette is that he looks like he's 45. The whole team does.
Yeah.
I can't. Big O, can you understand why Seattle's an underdog in that game? They've been better than Tampa Bay for 2 months. Now, look, you go to Germany. I don't know how that knocks the players out of the routine. Sometimes you'll hear that one team flew there earlier, one team flew there later, one team gets food poisoning. I don't know what's going to happen with that type of stuff. You can't know it. But the Seahawks, Geno Smith, in a year where we can't trust any quarterbacks, Geno Smith is my spirit animal, man. And I am so glad we talked 5 or 6 weeks ago. I had a team that was in trouble. I had to trade Justin Herbert and Mike Evans for a couple of guys named Tua and Tyreek Hill. It saved my season. Even with Tua not doing anything for a few weeks with the unfortunate situation with the concussions, and that's a scary thing. You obviously got to be careful about that. I am so glad that every week I get to watch Tyreek Hill just motor past people, and Tua's having a great season. And look, I did that out of desperation. It wasn't like I went after that proactively. I'd like to think talking to you probably encouraged me to make that trade. It took a team that was in trouble to now I'm one of the favorites in that league.
Yeah, dude, and he's dealing right now. So you've got one of the hotter quarterbacks now, along with Tyreek. That's a hell of a combination that you got yourself in there. All right, remember, you want to get in 855-912-1056. That's our Welt and Rayom text line. That's 855-912-1056. And of course, you can send them in right here on the YouTube chat board. We will check those out there. We will also check out some of the sleepers. You talked about Tampa Bay. Ricard White, would that be a guy that you're going to use this week?
You may have to. Had a season-high touches. He really hasn't done a lot with his efficiency, but neither has Fournette. With running backs, with Tom Brady, we're always looking at who's in the circle of trust, and maybe White is. Also, late in that game, I'd like to see Cameron Brate get scratched to feel better about Cade Otton, but Cade Otton's a guy I may trust this week. Scotty Miller, if I were really desperate, he had a touchdown, hit him in the chest. He dropped it on the second to last drive, but he was active in that game. And let me give you another player I'm really high on. Now, we all know Justin Fields is running like crazy. If you have Fields, you don't need any help playing him. But because they've gotten more proactive in the passing game, now we can play Darnell Mooney fairly confidently. And I think Cole Kmet, who scored touchdowns the last 2 weeks, he just had a season high in targets. Look, he's not going to be Travis Kelce. He's not going to be George Kittle. I'm not saying any of that. But you may have drafted Darren Waller and you're struggling. Or you may have Mark Andrews, who's hurt right now and he's on a bye week. I think decent chance Cole Kmet scores a touchdown for the 3rd straight week. So Otton and Kmet at a position that's awful for fantasy are guys I'm relying on in week 10.
All right, let me go here. 90 Miles is asking flex Mostert, Devontae Smith, Judy, Ayuk, or Melvin Gordon for the flex here.
A lot of choices. Ayuk and Mostert are the 2 guys I settle on. It looks like San Francisco. Miami's going to use both their backs. They were lucky that they got Jeff Wilson, who already knew the system, so he played a lot. That was an interesting sideline last week where guys like Wilson and Hawkinson changed teams. A lot of times I'm really careful with players changing teams, but they were good right out of the box. I think I'd lean Mostert. If you wanted to play Ayuk, I'd be fine with it. That's really good depth. And don't be afraid. Look around your league, right? You may be able to package a couple of these guys to one of your desperate league mates for a better player. It's the oldest fantasy trick in the book. I think everybody knows that. But there's someone in your league right now who's totally screwed. Maybe you could trade a couple of those guys and get a no-doubt starter for every week. So see if something's available to you. I lean Mostert, fine with Ayuk.
Chris Goodwin or Tyler Lockett?
It's got to be Lockett. Godwin is going towards. There's only been 5 receivers in the target era, which goes back to 1992, who have 100+ targets and no touchdowns. And right now, Deontay Johnson and Chris Godwin are challenging for that spot. They're both in like 60, 70 target range. Just a lot broken in Tampa Bay right now. I don't want to mess with it. I believe in Geno Smith. I believe in Tyler Lockett. I would be playing Metcalf and Lockett anywhere I can. And Kenneth Walker's going to go down as a league winner. If you drafted him late or if you got lucky enough to pick him up on waivers, man, he's going to be a guy who might run you to a championship. I'm all in on the Seahawks offense.
All right. St. Michael says, I was laughed at for taking Josh Allen, Tyreek and Waddle with my first 3 picks. Who's laughing now? Although hopefully Josh Allen doesn't have a UCL injury, my brother, because he might be done for the year.
I think they're crazy if they play Allen this week.
I agree. In fact, I think you might be you should keep him on the shelf for several weeks, because if it is a partial tear of the UCL, all the pitchers, they end up with Tommy John.
Yep.
They go back out, oh, yeah, and they end up completely tearing it. And if you completely tear it, listen, I don't care. I'm a Dolphins fan. But you'll ruin it this year and next year, because it's no less than a 12-month injury. So
This is why I don't mean to pick on Buffalo. I mean, great team, great organization, everything. But you saw games earlier in the year where they were blowing teams out and they were running designed runs for Josh Allen. It's like, what are you doing? He's the one guy you have no replacement for. Nobody has a replacement for a star quarterback. You're lucky if you have a Case Keenum who's a quality backup. I always say the good backup quarterbacks are like that donut tire in the back of your car. You can go 50 miles or 100 miles with it. You don't want to drive cross country with it. If I'm Buffalo, man, I play Case Keenum this week. Now, the spillover would be, you got to play Diggs. I think you have to probably play Singletary, who's, whatever. He'll have more touchdown equity if Allen doesn't play. And then everybody else is a case-by-case basis. I don't think Gabe Davis is an automatic starter anymore. The tight ends I mentioned earlier, I would play over Dawson Knox. Buffalo, this is stating the obvious. Just another team if Josh Allen's not in a football field.
I'm with you there. All right, let's go to the Welt and Rayom text line, 855-912-1056. Ayuk, Sutton starting. Which one?
I need a show of faith from Courtland Sutton. His production, my friend Pat Fitzmaurice was talking about this, has gone down since they got Greg Dulcich going at tight end, and Jerry Jeudy has been out producing Sutton as well until Sutton shows me something. And I realize Ayuk has a lot of players to compete for the ball in San Francisco. What a talented offense they have, but Ayuk's been performing lately and Sutton hasn't been. I don't care about the name. I don't care about when I drafted these guys. I care about how they're playing right now and how they're being used right now, and we can't trust Courtland Sutton at the moment. I think if you have any reasonable alternative, I would bench Sutton in week 10.
Remember, you can follow Scott on Twitter at Scott_Pianowski, and make sure you check him out there at Yahoo Sports all week long and weekends, getting you ready for a little fantasy action. Razzle Dazzle Crypto, Flex Spot, Jeff Wilson, or Mecole Hardman.
I wouldn't be against Wilson, and I'm glad you have him, but Hardman scored 3 straight weeks. It's funny that they went out and traded for Tony, And maybe it's time that they finally figured out what they want Hardman to be. He gets that jet sweep action. A year where they lose Tyreek Hill, it isn't the greatest receiver room in the league. Juju's a good player, but he's not an electric player. I like the way they've unlocked Hardman the last 3 weeks, and they can't run the ball. They gave up on running the ball last week. They had like 102 snaps, and none of their running backs did anything. So Hardman, who was players frustrated me for several fantasy seasons, I'll admit it, he's in my circle of trust right now.
All right. Let's see what else. Oh, should I start Devin Singletary?
It comes down to options. The thing with him to remember, even though the offense won't be as good, is his touchdown equity goes up when Josh Allen's off the field, because Allen's, we always expect when Buffalo scores a rushing touchdown, you think it's Josh Allen, right? He's such a dynamic runner. So I think Singletary goes from maybe 15% chance to score a touchdown to maybe 35 or 40%. And I know they traded for Hines. I know they have other backs there, but he'll get 15 touches. Usually when the games are competitive, that's when they rely on Singletary. I think he's a good play. I can't answer this question without knowing your whole roster, but I think he's a reasonable, proactive play in Week 10.
All right, let's go for some deep picks, flex guys with injuries and all kinds of stuff going on. You've been talking about one guy with the Chargers. How about DeAndre Carter? Does he move up to be at least a flex this week?
Yeah, Palmer's probably a 2, and Carter, who just had his best receiving game of the year, is probably a flex. Unfortunately, I'm not sure how healthy Justin Herbert is, and he's getting the San Francisco defense at a time when they're getting healthier. But they're guys I could play. We talked about Hardman, this is a week I could play him. I think you go back to Brandon Cooks. I know the situation's ugly. He doesn't want to be there. He wanted to be traded, but he's going to play this week. He's somebody I like. Alan Lazard is probably already locked into lineups. He's the only thing going in that Green Bay passing game. Darius Slayton, a player I always liked. He had a good rookie year. He's been off the map for a while. There's talk that maybe Galladay will play this week. I don't care. I think Slayton is the best receiver on the Giants. Again, with bye weeks, you may play him. Mac Hollins, I know the Raiders offense is just radioactive right now, but Waller's on IR. Renfro's on IR. Hollins may lead this team in receiving. I know Devontae Adams is mad. He had a big first half. He did nothing in the second half. He's pointing fingers at Josh McDaniels. It sure looks like McDaniels could be a one and done. I could see him being the offensive coordinator next year.
They're too cheap to fire him, bro, and swallow all that money.
Well, maybe they come to an agreement, right? Where it's like, you're not happy, I'm not happy. Let's meet in the middle somewhere. Either way, I think Mac Hollins is somebody. These are desperation plays. You're not benching Terry McLaurin for these guys. You're not benching Devonta Smith for these guys. But
No.
I like both the Charger guys you mentioned and just some of the other guys I brought up. I'm not playing anybody in the Colts game. Michael Pittman I have to bench. It breaks my heart to do it because I love Michael Pittman as a player. And I mentioned Peoples-Jones. Remember also with Peoples-Jones, and it's not fun to talk about this because Deshaun Watson's not a fun topic, but he's coming back in a few weeks. And they have a very narrow usage tree. It's Cooper. It's Peoples-Jones. They'll throw to Njoku when he gets back. Donovan Peoples-Jones is in my top 40 this week. That's where we are in Week 10.
All right. Wan'Dale Robinson. Has he made it to your flex?
Yeah, he and Slayton are really close. Again, there's not a lot of options there. They're going to try. They're playing this Houston defense that can't stop the run, so Barkley's probably going to get like 25 or 30 touches, and maybe Jones only throws for like 175, 180 yards, but it won't be distributed to that many players. So I could play Slayton or Robinson in a bye week with injury pinch, sure.
All right. Dolphins and Browns. Outside of the obvious, Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle. What else do you like in that game?
I think both Miami backs are playable. I don't trust Gesicki right now. I just don't think he has a week-to-week role with the team. And on the Browns, it's pretty narrow. I mean, Chubb is terrific. Cooper is really, really good. I said Peoples-Jones I think is playable, and Hunt will probably get 8 to 10 touches, maybe 12 touches. If that does anything for you, maybe you have to play Jacoby Brissett if you're really screwed with injuries. But these are two teams. I always talk about the teams with the narrow usage. Miami, man, when they're throwing it, it's usually the two guys. And when Cleveland throws it, maybe Njoku comes back, but if he doesn't come back, it's going to be the two guys either. I've never understood why they don't throw the ball to Nick Chubb, but I do think there'll be a fair amount of points in this game, but it's going to be to the main guys. It's going to be the steak is going to come through in this game. It's not going to be about the appetizer. It's not going to be about the dessert. It's going to be about the steak. It's going to be about Hill, about Waddle. They'll be celebrating in the end zone, and I think Chubb and Cooper will have good games as well.
All right. Antonio Gibson or Devin Singletary?
Gonna go Singletary. At least Gibson with McKissick out of the way is quasi-playable. He didn't do much last week, and Heineke was kind of exposed, and you would think a good Eagles defense might make Heineke look really bad on Monday night. I lean Singletary, but I still think Gibson belongs on rosters because when we can get a backfield reduced from 3 to 2, the McKissick injury makes that a 2-man backfield. That's plausible in fantasy now. We can get points out of it. It used to be, you and I go back Big O, where the running back by committee was you had to avoid any team that used 2 running backs. Now
New
that
England.
number is now that
New
number
England
is 3.
was that pain in the ass for many years.
Sure.
Like I hated New England. I would never draft a running back in New England because it would just piss you off.
Or all the Shanahanigans, whether you talk about Mike or Kyle. But now it's like when we talk about a backfield with 2 backs, again, the great thing with the Miami backfield is that there's only 2 guys. They're not messing around with a fullback. Tua doesn't run the ball that much. So you're not going to get 25 touches from one of those guys, but you're going to get 13 or 15. They both have some equity around the goal line. So when I can get a backfield down to 2, I feel pretty good about it, which is why Gibson is viable in this question, but I lean Singletary for week 10.
Well, I just brought up one of the flex sleepers, Brandon Cooks or Wan'Dale Robinson, PPR. Jay Hurd is asking.
Yeah, I'm going to go Cooks. I know it's frustrating. I know Mills is slid backwards this year. He wasn't that bad as a rookie, but this year he hasn't played well. Cooks isn't happy, but I think there'll be a little bit of a squeaky wheel, and Cooks will probably have 8 or 10 targets in this game. I'll lean that way.
All right. With Mahomes as my QB and Bills as my defense, possibly drop Trevor Lawrence for New England's defense?
It comes down to what the waiver wire looks like a quarterback. If you're going to have a viable pickup, if Mahomes gets hurt, of course, if Mahomes gets hurt, you're probably screwed anyway. Jacksonville's such a weird team. They're like 5th in first downs. They're 10th or 11th in offensive DVOA, but they seem to shoot themselves in the foot a lot. They haven't been the most efficient team in the red zone. I was encouraged by the way Lawrence played last week. I don't think the Patriots defense, I know you're thinking Zach Wilson next week, right? They're going to make his life miserable. They just had a 9-sack game against that Colts junior varsity team. So I get it. It comes down to if you feel confident you can pick up a quarterback if you need one later in the year, then fine. I'll play the look-ahead game. If your waiver wire is all guys you don't want to go anywhere near, then maybe you need to keep Lawrence. That's the way to figure out that question.
Jeff Saturday's not happy with that comment.
Sorry,
Aaron
Jeff.
Jones, if he's out, do I start Dylan or Latavius Murray?
You'd have to start Dylan because you could see 15 or 20 touches. Denver probably is going to split their usage to multiple guys. And man, that Denver-Tennessee game, I think the total is 36.5, and I still think you have to go under. It looks like you told me either team would get the 17 points. I'm like, good, you're going to win. Both teams want to run the ball. Both teams want to get the game over with. I mean, look at what Tennessee's done the last 2 weeks with Willis. And I realize they're going to get Tannehill back. It doesn't matter. He's going to throw 22 passes. So I think it's going to be a very short game. Murray, 9, 11 touches, something like that. I realize Dylan has not played this very well this year. But if Jones is out, you got to figure Dylan gets 15 touches and maybe some goal line opportunities. I also think, the Packers have lost 5 games in a row. I don't trust the Packers. But I think they'll at least show up. I don't think they're a punching bag. I think they're just a team with a lot of problems, which puts them in a big bucket right now. Dylan over Murray.
Yeah, with the freaking quarterback just pointing fingers at everybody.
Man, does he look miserable? He looks like he'd rather be doing anything but playing quarterback, man. And
you know what it is? He just looks like the guy that was like, for years I've been banging heads with you guys. You don't get me enough talent, this, that. And, I'm out the door, bro. F you guys. I don't care anymore. I'm going to say whatever's on my mind. This season's a disaster. And why? Because you guys are a disaster. And I think that's what this is, the dude that's kind of like just unloading on the organization after all these years of not getting what he needed on offense at times.
Yeah.
And so
to be
just
fair, I think
out on that.
that's spot on. I think there's culpability on both sides. I think Rodgers could be a better teammate. This famous story, guys in his passing tree didn't have his cell phone number, But when they draft Jordan Love in the first round, who nobody had a first-round grade on, it's like, what are you doing? And all the years they've not drafted receivers. Of course, this year they tried to do it, and they looked like they whiffed on their guys, at least for the first year. They've done a little spinning about, we tried the trade for Chase Claypool. We tried to trade for Brandon Cooks. We couldn't get these guys. But it's like Alan Lazard is might as well be Sterling Sharp on that team. I mean, that's how bad their options are. And Lazard, man, I'm glad I have him in some leagues. He's the only guy Rodgers trusts right now.
So the Colts organization is pissed off with Scott Pianowski for calling him a JV team. Jeff Saturday now is pissed off because you called his team a JV team. And now You said Jordan Love didn't have a first-round grade by everybody, and Brian Flores, who wanted Jordan Love over Tua, is now pissed off at you. Boy, you are on a real roll today, just pissing people off, man.
It's a game of opinions, man. We say what we think, and
God bless you.
I mean, look, I'm realistic, man. I know we talk 4 months a year about this fantasy stuff, and I realize a lot of what I say is going to be wrong. You know, I was telling people.
But you're right on all of those, by the way.
Well, okay, I thought Patterson was a good play last night.
I'm just having fun with it. That
you know, somebody wrote me last week. Somebody wrote me last week, and he said, "Should I trade Jonathan Taylor for Donta Foreman and like maybe Ayuk or some lesser receiver?" And I said, it was a private conversation. He didn't want anybody in his league to see that he was thinking of trading Taylor that inexpensively. And I said, you know, I don't have faith that Taylor's going to be healthy the rest of the season, or he'll play. He may play this week. He's practicing, but he's got the high ankle sprain. He's got such little help around him. It sure looks like Donta Foreman's a more valuable player right now than Jonathan Taylor. This is where fantasy takes you. Yeah. Justin Fields right now, circle of trust. Brady, Wilson, Rodgers, Stafford. I don't trust any of those guys. Stafford may not even play this week because of a concussion. And even if he does, his elbow's still messed up. His offensive line stinks. He's got one receiver he trusts. You could drop Matt Stafford in the league, and I probably wouldn't even pick him up. I mean, well, how many things would have to go right before you fix it? I even think Sean McVay might have a foot out the door. I think he regrets coming back. So, you know, we're in a world where Justin Fields and Geno Smith are saving our lives. Donta Foreman is saving our fantasy lives. But that's what happens. Maybe Jeff Wilson is a fantasy savior. If Mostert ever got hurt, if they decided Wilson was the lead back there, I think they're both going to play. And I love the shape of this offense right now. But I don't care. The bottom line with this, my ethos in fantasy, is I don't care about the name. I don't care about what you paid for him at the auction. I don't care what round you took somebody in. At this point, if somebody's producing for me, I'll play them. And if somebody's not producing for me, I won't. And it doesn't matter when they were drafted or what I thought 2 or 3 months ago. You have to be fluid with this stuff.
Yeah, and Foreman, by the way, is just solidifying this year what he did last year. So he should, you know, if he's going to keep bouncing around the league, hell, I hope the Dolphins pick him up for next year. He runs hard, dude. He had a nice, tough run yesterday for that touchdown overall. I mean, just watching Mariota. That was tough to watch. John Padilla is asking the Knox kid from Bills or Mike G from Miami.
Yeah,
needs one.
Knox by default, but I mentioned some of those other tight ends like Otten and Kmet. If you can get your hands on those guys, I would play them over either of the choices you mentioned.
Although Kmet cannot be, unless you're in a league that everybody's smoking crack pipes.
Well, Kmet hadn't done much until last week. I mean, he was getting 2 or 3 targets a game, and they were a team that was hiding their quarterback. The thing about Chicago is they're no longer hiding Fields. They're letting him let his hair down, and they're doing proactive stuff. And
it looks like Kmet is becoming a part of that offense for him. And those are high percentage passes. So I always young QBs. You want tight ends and running backs in those offenses in fantasy because young QBs, they will work from inside out with them because those are the easier throws.
Two more tight ends. Totally agree with that. 2 more tight ends I want you to either pick up or trade for. You probably can't pick these guys up, but Dulcich has been good all 3 weeks in Denver. They had their bye week last week. And with Claypool gone in Pittsburgh, a lot of his the routes that he has vacated are going to be picked up by Pat Freiermuth. The Steelers have even admitted this. And again, young quarterback. What's the easiest throw for him? A big guy between the numbers. Pat Freiermuth's going to be a really good player the rest of the way.
Follow him on Twitter at Scott_Pianowski. Catch his work there at Yahoo Sports and tell him what you're doing there at Yahoo Sports, my friend.
Yep, sleepers went up on Thursday. The picks, and we're like 64% against the spread. The picks are going up in maybe an hour from now. Sunday, Fantasy Football Live, the final hour before kickoff. Of course, you're going to wake up early. You're on your own with the Buccaneers and Seahawks. I do like Seattle in that game. I like Kate Otten in that game as well. Fantasy Football Live at noon Eastern time with Barons and the crew on video. I'll be handling the Yahoo Fantasy account. So if we didn't get your question today, you're welcome to tweet to Yahoo Fantasy. Mention you're from the show. I'll make sure you get expedited service if I see it.
There you go.
And let's get you a win in Week 10, man. Just get in the playoffs. I don't care what you think of your team. Get into the playoffs. You can be NC State 1983. You can be Jimmy Valvano looking for somebody to hug. You just got to get in the tournament, man.
I'm with you there. By the way, John's asking... Kevin G said Jeff Saturday is going to be Dan Campbell Jr. Here's what I ask you. Who wins more games from here to the end of the year, Dan Campbell or the man in Indianapolis, Jeff Saturday?
I'm going with Dan Campbell.
Okay.
And by the way, we agree on Campbell. I would love him in my coaching room. I just don't think he's made to be a head coach.
No, he's not a head coach. Yeah, the rah shit just doesn't work as a head coach. It's not good. You gotta literally show them that you put them in positions to win week in and week out. That's when you win players over. Too many people think that rah stuff is going to lift players up, and
that's high school stuff. That's Pop Warner stuff.
Yeah, that's the shit bores them, bro. They don't pay attention to that. Scott, as always, you're a stud, my brother. Have a great weekend. May the big wins be yours, my friend. We'll catch up next week.
Yep, great talking to you. See you next week.
Thank you, sir. That is the great Scott Pianowski, baby, with a little fantasy football, Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone.
You've been listening to the Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone with Yahoo Sports' Scott Pianowski. Go to sportsgrill.com to find a great location near you. Fantasy football fans, subscribe to the Big O Radio Show on YouTube and all other platforms to catch up with all our fantasy football insight provided by Scott Pianowski and Andy Behrens.
I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloan Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloan Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloan Shield.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Heat fans, time for the best insight of your favorite team with insider Ira Winderman, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. It's the Acura of Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat and NBA report. Here's Ira Winderman.
All right, ready to talk a little basketball. Not that the team is ready to play basketball, but at least they won yesterday in overtime against an injury-riddled Hornets team. Anyway.
Big O, I am bringing a cardiologist to all the Heat games from now on. I mean, the way this team has played and the escape acts and blown leads, it's just, I mean, it has been, if you want a thrill ride, if you thought Halloween ended your thrillers, Jamie Lee Curtis could be playing in these games because it has been harrowing now for more than a week.
Yeah, no, it's just frustrating. You're watching that game and everything's falling apart and Jimmy Butler's killing himself to keep you alive, and God bless him, dude. I mean, that is one guy that leaves it out there on the court every single freaking night. And, I'm laughing because, Bam, that whole thing about, 18 or 19 shots, and I just circled. He was 6 of 15 in an overtime game. And by the way, he did make a play at the end. So did Lowry and all that. But still, it just, I felt bad for Jimmy because down the stretch, that lead disappears. And if it's not for him, dude, there's no way you even walk out of that game with a W, man. I just, I don't know where they would be without Jimmy Butler.
I just wrote that at sunsentinel.com. And Big O, if you have to get playoff Jimmy Butler in November, that's a real concern.
Against the Hornets at home.
If you have to get playoff Jimmy Butler for 42 minutes in November, that's a concern. We know he can do this in the playoffs. You know what's interesting, Big O? That was only the 6th time in the tenure he's been with the Heat during the regular season he has scored 35 or more. We all know that Jimmy waits for the playoffs. We all know that he takes a measured approach to the regular season. He knows what matters most. And this team desperately needed every single one of those 35 points and 10 rebounds and 8 assists and 2 steals against a team now on a 7-game losing streak without LaMelo Ball, Gordon Hayward, or Cody Martin that was playing on the second night of a back-to-back,
Right.
with the Heat having 2 nights off ahead of time. There is something fundamentally off with this Heat team right now. And, you can say you got the W. You can say you're within 2 games of 500 and you're sorting things out. But, Big O, when you notice things in mid-November and early November, you see them again in December and in January. And you question them in February at the trading deadline. Sometimes after a sample of 10, 15 games, you have enough of a read. Now the question is, now that we've learned Yurtseven might be out for the season or at least for months on end, what do you do next? And we still don't know about Victor Oladipo. We're not counting on Yurtseven. They're not counting on Oladipo because they can't. So basically, you're counting on what you saw last night at FTX or whatever it's called, Arena, plus Tyler Hero, and that's it. So you know what? You don't have an arena name. You don't have a team identity. You don't have a playoff record yet. Yeah, it's going swimmingly.
Yeah. Oh, God. Think about Tom Brady. His divorce, his team, and his crypto company all went to shit. That's the Heat are having a rough year. Brady's had a tougher year this year, although he's got plenty of titles to lean back on for that.
And plenty of money on the side also. And you know what? I went in the Heat locker room and asked around that none of the guys got burned by the affiliation. Udonis Haslem, you've seen the commercials about FTX and the Miami Heat, with the Domino's players and all that.
He has no crypto.
And well, not that. You can do what you want there. But what I'm saying is he might have lost out on the residuals he was supposed to be paid, but he told me he was not invested. So he didn't take the hit. He didn't take the loss there. So I think the Heat players were sort of shielded from that to a degree. But man, Big O, let me ask you a question. And again, I know you're involved in crypto. I know this might be a one-off in your view, so I'll leave it this way. But if your arena today on November 11th was named Bernie Madoff Arena, would you continue to call it that? Because that's where the Heat are right now.
Yeah, here's and we'll go in 2 different directions here.
Okay.
Pro Player Stadium, they went defunct, and then they
Correct.
kept the name. But Pro Player did not ruin the lives of people.
Correct.
FTX has ruined the lives of hundreds of thousands of people.
Pro Player became Fruit of the Loom, and you did not want to play in Fruit of the Loom Stadium, so I get all of that.
Right. But keeping that around is not the worst thing because it didn't ruin lives.
And it sounded good.
Do you keep it around now? But see, here's the problem. If you got $20 million up front, do you keep it until the $20 million expire and then you part ways because then you lived up to your contract? Or do you say, no, we've got to take this down because it's a bad look for us? But if you take it down, do you then have to give the prorated portion back? Exactly. I don't know how this agreement works, but I'll tell you this, the city's in charge. If the city's in charge,
the county's in charge. Yes.
They're going to keep the name on there, and they're going to take the $20 million. Because remember, they also had the Miami coin thing that didn't go as well. So,
yes. Yeah, and the city has a fiduciary responsibility to its taxpayers that if there's money that's going to be there, instead of coming from your taxpayers, you have to honor that also. It's an awkward position for the Heat. And I believe the Heat, to their best of their ability, tried to vet the situation. But as you know, Big O,
they have no control.
It's a new industry. It's all different. The difference here is Bernie Madoff was still trying to bring in money from other suckers to pay off its previous suckers. There was an illegal cash flow. This is a guy, and I couldn't believe before they declared bankruptcy today, where he's out there searching for $9 billion in rescue investments. So basically, he's telling 4 NBA owners, I need you to all sell your teams and give me all your money, and then I'm fine. I mean, it is just kind of ridiculous how the thing played out. But you know what? In these times, sometimes you land the
Banks go under, man. Banks go under, but they're covered.
Right.
And so that's where you get saved. In this case, you're not. And again, The problem we have in this world right now with crypto is that you have a lot of people that are in it and don't understand it. And the idea of crypto is so you become your own bank. But the problem is you're not going to become your own bank if you're leaving your coins on exchanges that you don't own it. And so you have to put, like I've been telling people for months now, put it in a cold wallet. And I told the FTX people a couple days before the shit hit the fan, I said, get your money out of FTX and put it in a cold wallet. That way you never lose your crypto. That's the beauty of crypto, that you actually get to keep it and own it. You can control your own money. Nobody else can control it, but you've got to understand it. And since we're in such infancy stages of all of this, Ira, too many people still don't understand, and they keep their money on Binance or on crypto.com or on FTX or on KuCoin or any of these exchanges or DeFis like Celsius that went down. Voyager also went down. They're DeFi also, but you cannot keep your money there. You have to. That's the beauty of crypto. There are cold wallets where you can keep it offline, where you can't get hacked because it's offline. Nobody can get to your coins, and you will control them because you have 12 words that if you don't have those 12 words, you'll never be able to get to my crypto or anybody else's. And these are the things that people have to learn. This is going to give you, like, you're going to be able to have your own Bitcoin, and you can then borrow off of that Bitcoin at a very low interest rate compared to what you would do in the bank. You'd probably do it like a 2%, something you could never do at the bank. Things like this are coming, but it's just one of those things that you have to understand what's coming down the line, and then you have to understand how to handle all of this. And a lot of people, unfortunately, through Voyager, through Celsius, through FTX now, have had to learn the hard way by keeping their money on these exchanges. And these exchanges, you don't own it. If it's not your keys, it's not your crypto. That's what we do. That's how we say it in crypto.
And these last 2 minutes were like Homer Simpson's dog listening to Homer. Okay, I guess you said some stuff. Big O, that's why I just keep all of money in my freezer. So I do follow you to a degree. I take care of it that way. Don't earn any interest.
Cold storage. I like it. I like it.
So I keep it simple. And that's why I come on Monday and Fridays in the Acura Pembroke Pines Report, because I'll talk to you about a quality vehicle that gets excellent mileage and reasonably priced payments. That's why I'm on the Acura Pembroke Pines Report and not Crypto World with the Big O.
Amen. Amen. And that's why I try to explain to people what the hell is going on. But I get it. It's all panic and all that. And in a couple years, it'll all be part of our everyday lives. And you're going to go, wow, that idiot O is actually right about this and all that. But that's all right. I'm not,
and again, for the Heat, the bigger thing is the look. And again, they have money coming in. There's a responsibility. Oh, you might have a sponsor you might not have been in love with or had a rough dealing with, but you might have kept it because it paid the bills. We're all trying to pay the bills also. So I do think there's a moral end for this. There's a fiscal end for this, and you have to consider both parts of it. And also, and again, the Heat people did not want to talk on the record. They issued a rather benign statement. But you know what? This happened so quick. I mean, you're talking about, Sam Bankman-Fried, I think his name is, was worth $16 billion.
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Was worth $16 billion on Tuesday and is bankrupt on Friday. Even the Al-Zaghari books have never looked that bad.
No, or that good.
True.
I'd like for them to look that good, at least for once, man. Yeah, it's a shame. He was using the customers' funds for
as his own bank.
Leverage.
As his own bank. Yeah.
Yeah, for leverage. And when you play with leverage, man, is very dangerous.
Think of all the pension funds. Think of all the little guys who were part of it and didn't even know they were in it. That's the shame of it.
No, and listen, if you read deeper into the story, the employees were all heavily invested, and a lot of the employees got screwed too. So this runs deep, dude. I hope he goes to jail. I really do. I hope he goes to jail. And I know there are different rules for people like this because they have a hell of a lot more money than we do. But you just can't go like this and ruin people's lives like that and just walk away. I find that, Do Kwon from damn it, this coin now that I'm forgetting that crashed. He's on the run right now. They've taken his passports and all that, and he's hiding somewhere. And that's another guy.
It'll be
Luna.
great because
Luna.
the Heat
That
can
was
see,
Luna.
the
That
Heat,
coin.
the Heat can see Sam next time it goes to the Bahamas for training camp, so they can
Yeah.
track him down themselves. And believe
And
me,
you know the big picture, by the way, just
Right.
so I can say one thing, and I've
Sure.
said this before already. There's nothing wrong with crypto. Bitcoin didn't get hacked. Ethereum didn't get split. Cardano didn't crash. Polkadot didn't explode. Nothing happened to any company. They're all super strong and they're all growing. VeChain, a whole bunch of them are all growing.
But
The dirtiness is in the exchanges and the DeFis that are mismanaging the
right?
people.
But that's like saying don't trust a brokerage because of what happened in Shearman, Lehman, and
Exactly.
things like that.
Or
No,
Enron or
they're
whatever.
still,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
There's still Prudential. There's still Fidelity. There are bad players. Sports, there were bad players in business, and that's just the way it is. The one thing I disagree with you in this is that's why I think there needs to be more regulation, even though people enjoy the unregulated part of it, because the money laundering aspect, as you know, Big O,
of course,
it's a lot easier to money launder in crypto than
No,
it
it's
is.
not. No, it's not. No, it's not. You can track every single transaction on crypto. You cannot hide any transactions on crypto. It's actually harder. The DeFi exchanges or crypto exchanges would have to be a part of the money laundering.
Hello.
And then that would
Hello.
and then wait a minute, but that would they're really not money, but the exchanges haven't been caught with money laundering. What they've been doing is actually embezzling from their customers is what they're doing.
Takes one, half does the other.
Yeah. The other day, the government just took away 50,000 Bitcoin from somebody that had stolen it a couple years ago,
Right.
but they couldn't cash it in. They could not cash it in because they have the numbers. That's the beauty of cryptocurrency, that everything is numbered. You cannot. It's like having every dollar bill.
But it's
with
Bitcoin.
the
You just throw it in a vending machine. Anyway, let's talk some basketball.
Yeah. No, but again, nothing's wrong with the crypto coins itself and the industry. What's going on is the problem is with the DeFi exchanges. And that's what you have. That's why I say you don't trust them. You buy and then put it on your own cold wallet and then you're done. All right. So on the Heat side.
Thank you.
I know. I'm sorry. Where are we going with this? Because I almost feel like I'm headed for a really frustrating season because I know Spo's a hell of a coach, but you kind of were touching on it when you were talking about it earlier. It's almost like they put together a puzzle that really doesn't jive.
Yes.
And right now I am not watching anything that resembles Heat defense.
And I think what they have to do is they know they can't change the puzzle pieces because of the luxury tax, because of the salary cap, but I think you can mix it up a little bit. We've seen when they have a shooter starting like Max Strus, it goes better. Look at Jimmy Butler last night and what he did. Well, who didn't play? Tyler Hero didn't play. As much as Tyler wants to start, and you and I have discussed this from the get-go, I think you need to reorder your rotation. Not Tyler's fault, not anyone else's fault. I need to get more out of Kyle Lowry. I get more out of Kyle Lowry when Tyler...
Just play him that video. Just play that video for him and say, hey, listen, man, San Antonio did it. He's going to the Hall of Fame. He's a great freaking player.
In the Hall of Fame, exactly.
You're a great freaking player.
And look, and it's not permanent. It's just now while we regain our legs, who knows? Maybe there'll be a deal at the trading deadline. Maybe there'll be something else. Maybe there'll be a different power forward, a 3-point spacing power forward more than Caleb Martin. But right now, so I think what Eric Spoelstra has to do, you don't want to make it look like a panic. You're only 2 games under 500. But you also have to get a sense of what's working and what's not working right now. And right now, it's, look, if you had a Tyler Hero on the bench last night and you needed a spark in the fourth quarter, instead of calling upon 33-year-old Jimmy Butler, you can call on 23-year-old Boy Wonder instead and save your guy, like happened all of last season when Tyler Hero could be that guy who steps up. The Heat are who they are right now. It's not like a Victor Oladipo trade is going to get you anything because Victor Oladipo doesn't play. It's not like you can include Omer Yurtseven in a trade because Omer Yurtseven won't play. It's not like you can include Dedmon in a trade because you can't deal him till January anyway. So make the best use of your puzzle pieces by shaking up that puzzle a little bit. But again, Eric Spoelstra never panics. He pushes through. So I am curious, and maybe a few W's will change it. But keep this in mind, Big O. After Saturday's game against the really bad Charlotte Hornets, you have the Suns coming in on Monday, and then a grueling 4-game road trip that includes the Raptors, that includes the Cleveland Cavaliers. So it's like Jimmy said and Bam said last night. They need W's. They need to get on the good side of things. Yes, they escaped last night. But if Kelly Oubre is not called for a travel, just receiving the pass with 13 seconds left in overtime, that's the go-ahead basket possibility right there. They got lucky. I'm going to wait like everyone else to see the officiating report. Did they get screwed like the Sacramento Kings got screwed last week on Tyler's winning 3? So, man, that margin, that fine line, it's smaller than your cup of Cuban coffee over there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And then the other thing that I worry about, and you saw it last night, the Butler overload of minutes. If you're going to do that, if you can't figure this out a lot faster to alleviate the load off of Butler, he's not going to last the season. He won't be fresh for your playoffs. He'll be either injured or just worn down.
Or take games off like he did last week for hip soreness when it really was for rest. Jimmy Butler will be taking games off this season, and he should. Kyle Lowry will be taking games off this season, and he should. That's today's NBA. Everyone's saying 82 is too many.
Kyle Lowry took a season off. Why should he take anything off?
Okay, but I'm just talking about this season right now, and Miami Heat people who are listening, that's the guy in the box over there who's talking. Over there, I'll figure that one out.
They know me. They know me very well. They know I'm not a big fan of that Lowry deal. I mean, I've said that over and over again.
Hard to be right now. Again, I asked this to Kurt Heelan on our RedRecover.com Inside the Paint show on Wednesday. For those who like to do a little homework over the weekend and send me their results, I really wonder where Kyle Lowry ranks right now among the NBA starting point guards, and I don't think it's in the top 50%. And the Heat were expecting more when they made that deal of giving up Precious Achiuwa, of giving up Goran Dragic, and of giving up an $85 million 3-year contract.
God. One guy put, Lowry is a roach, man. I don't know what that means, but I guess
hey, if he has 90 lives like a cockroach, I'm fine with that also, as long as he keeps resurfacing.
Yeah, just play a hell of a lot better, man. All right, what do you got going on the Sun Sentinel as we get ready for Saturday's game against the Hornets?
I wrote the story we spoke about how Jimmy Butler had to be playoff Jimmy Butler, and that's worrisome in November. I wrote my Ask Ira on if Omer Yurtseven is out for months and possibly the season, do you look for another center? Do you give Boogie Cousins a call, a guy who can give you some offense, who has experience? And shockingly, he's only 32 years old. The Heat won't because of the luxury tax. Don't start, Big O. We'll argue about that on Monday. So you have those concerns. And I'm working on a story right now where Kelly Oubre says he thinks it's like sharks in the water trying to attack his team, and he was completely blindsided when he was called for that travel in overtime last night. And I think we're going to have to look at our last 2-minute officiating report when that comes out at 4 or 5 o'clock today and look into that. So the one thing the Heat have given you this season, not wins, but man, the drama, it's already in place. It's like their motto should be, we know drama.
Heat are going to give me a freaking ulcer is what they're going to give me.
Heart attack. You and I will be side by side there getting our EKGs at the same time. Yeah.
More stents in my heart. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. And, of course, catch his exceptional work at the Sun Sentinel. In fact, subscribe to it like I do and catch him 3 times a week here with our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA reports on Mondays and Fridays. And, of course, on Wednesdays, the RedRecover.com Inside the Paint show. Ira, have a fantastic weekend, my friend. We'll catch up on Monday.
I'm going to go put my Bitcoin in the soda machine right now. Thank you, Big O.
You got it. There you go. Cold storage. That's what it's all about. Somebody was asking about Solana, and Lofi says that Solana will survive. I agree, by the way. It is going to go down because I would imagine that all the millions of Solana that's getting unstaked, they're going to end up selling it. Although yesterday, in a shocking turn, Solana actually went up, which I was actually shocked that it went up a couple of bucks. And I would imagine that today there's a little bit of a dip where Bitcoin is down to 17,000. I would imagine that Solana is also down now, right now, and they're down to $17, and they are down 2.5%. But I think they will survive. I don't have any Solana, My problem with Solana is it's centralized. It's not decentralized. And they're also losing validators now throughout this whole mess because Sam Bankman-Fried is the guy that basically saved Solana, and he owned 10% of Solana tokens. Plus the pool that's getting unstaked now, it's millions, and those people will probably panic sell too, I would imagine, which I don't blame them for what's going on. Solana's down to $17. This is crazy. Now, if Solana can get back on track, their ecosystem is sick. They've got a ton of what's it called? The metaverse. They've got a ton of metaverse games in there, including my Star Atlas, who will probably move to Ethereum if anything happens here. And what's it called? They've also NFTs. They've got a lot of business. Now, they've had a lot of problems with the network. They've had a lot of bog downs. They've had shutdowns. This is the reason why I haven't gotten into Solana. But I'll tell you this. I told my wife this the other day. If there's more of a dip, because right now, over the last year, Solana's down 92%. 92. Okay? This thing was at $215 at one point. It's at 17. But I told my wife, if there's another major sell-off from this pool that's coming out now, staking pool that they have, and it gets under $10, I might scoop up some Solana for the hell of it and sit on it and see if it takes off. Because I think it will. I'm with Lofi. It's got such a rich ecosystem, and it's got several billion dollars running through it, that I would imagine that it eventually will bounce back because it's turned into a good project. They've got their own phone coming out. They've got all kinds of things that they're working on. It has become a powerhouse. So this dip could be a blessing, or it could be the end of Solana down the line. I'm not sure yet. But I will tell you this. If there's another dip that goes, right now it's a bargain to buy it at. But I'm still not going to take a gamble. But if it gets under $10, I got to tell you, I might take that chance, man. I might take that chance. Again, major risk. Remember, I am not a financial advisor. I am just a guy that enjoys and loves crypto. That's it. Okay? So don't use me as some kind of a smart guy or anything like that, but I'm just telling you what I like and what I see. Okay? And Solana would be, I remember, I every time I think about this, when it was at $213, it had a dip and it went to like 140. One of our listeners, and sir, I hope you're still hanging in there. He goes, man, I invested big in Solana in the dip. And I go, man, that's a big investment because we still may go more. And we ended up, well, where are we at now? So if he got in at 140 and it's down to 17, that's rough waters, bro. That's rough waters. So NFT is basically blockchain art at the time, could expand to other cases. It will. It has so many things that you're going to be able to do in NFTs. One company that I'm invested in, and you can get it on crypto.com. It's called Alethea Artificial Intelligence. And what it is, Alethea Artificial Liquid Intelligence Token. And what it is AI for NFTs. So they're going to bring your NFTs to life. So your NFTs will be able to talk. You can talk to them, that kind of stuff. And in my mind, I'm thinking, because this is what's going to happen down the line. This is what people don't realize. You're going to have an NFT, right? And you're going to have a frame in your house. And yeah, you're going to own that piece of art, but you're also going to put it on your frame in your house. And it might be your parents. It might be a loved one. And it might be a video recording of them. And they're going to be able to talk to you and back. And you can keep that image alive. So artificial intelligence is not only robots, but it's going to be a part of NFTs too at the same time. So I can see people buying their favorite sports NFT of Michael Jordan coming through the lane and dunking. So it's a moving NFT. You know what I mean? Or it could be you got the moment Wade was inducted into the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame and his induction speech, and you put it and you make that an NFT. Or again, could be your dog, video of your dog, and you make it a living NFT. All these kind of things. And so for me, Alethea, and it's very cheap, by the way, it's under 2 cents. And I love getting in early on things like this because if it takes off, and I think AI is going to be something absolutely enormous. Let me see if I can read you what they say about Alethea. Let me go to it a second here. Alethea AI is building a decentralized protocol to create an intelligent metaverse inhibited by interactive and intelligent NFTs. As originators of the NFT standard, Alethea AI is on the cutting edge of embedding AI animation, interaction, and generative AI capabilities into NFTs. Developers can use the NFT protocol to create, train, and earn from their NFTs in the world of First Intelligence metaverse known as Noah's Ark, which again, you're also going to be able to use that in settings for school, for work purposes, not just, some kind of a memory or anything like that. The amount of things that you're going to be able to do are sick. And so it's again, listen, you guys do your own homework, invest in whatever you want to invest in, but I'm just, and you know what I love about this? Lofi's going to understand this. Their market cap is $13 million. That is nothing. So where it's at, it can multiply so many times. See, I'll give you an example. There are people out there, right, that will tell you, Shiba's going to go up to $1. Do you know why Shiba will never go up to $1? Because Shiba right now is the 14th coin. And do you know what their market cap is right now? Their market cap, where is it? Their market cap is 5.3 billion. Not million, 5.3 billion. And it's under a penny. Way under a penny. So in order for it to just double, it'll go to 10.6 billion. And that'll get it to a digit over. By the time it gets to a penny, it's going to be several $billion. I don't know how to do the math now, but it'll be so many $billion that it's going to be hard for it to even get to a penny. That's why I tell people that I'm just hoping SHIB gets to half a cent. If it can get to half a cent, and I know it has a burning quality to it, but the supply is so big, it's not going to really help out. But when I'm telling you that Alethea's market cap is nothing, it's not 5.3 billion like this is. No. This is a mere $12.8 million. So it can multiply so many times down the line that has all the room to grow. So these are the kind of, you always want to try to find projects that have real world usage, that it's something that people are going to use, which NFTs are going to become a huge part of our world. You don't understand that, you don't feel it, but that's fine. And then whether it's VeChain, whatever it is that you're using, Cardano, which is just going to free the unbanked all over the world, all these things that you've got to know what they do. And then you've got to understand how many coins are available. Is there a limit in the coins? Do they keep printing coins like in Doge it's just an unlimited number that they can keep printing and that kind, which then devalues it? You know what I'm saying? These are all the things that you've got to understand before you invest. Okay? So there you go. What else do we have? I have not looked, but they don't have funds to develop the type of tech. It's most likely selling you the idea. Well, that's all depends. Go look at who their investors are. That's what you got to find out. This is an interesting project. I'm going, listen, again, everything's a risk. You know what I'm saying? Versatile Big O with the crypto talk, sports talk, and pop culture. Yes, sir. And music. What's the name of the steakhouse in Tampa you always brag about? Burns Steakhouse, sir. BERN' Steakhouse. And go early. Get yourself, remember, ask for the tour. When you sit down, tell them you want a tour of the restaurant, and they're going to take you through the kitchen and the wine cellar and everything. And then tell them you want to go to the dessert room after. Even if you don't want dessert, somebody may want dessert in your group. Maybe get a Coke or whatever. I don't care. But go to the dessert room. It's an experience. You know, you're going to go there. And when you walk out, you're going to have a great meal. By the way, order the finest steak on the planet. It is the Chateaubriand. Okay? That is the sweetest and softest cut that there is, even more in the filet. The Chateaubriand. That is my favorite steak, and that's what I always have when I go there. And by the way, the escargot is the best escargot I've ever had. The sauce that it's dipped, that it's cooked in, oh my God. Off the chain. All right, Burns Steakhouse. You will love it, sir. Big O, great spot. They give you a tour of the restaurant. Yes, sir. Been at it I've been at it so many times. I don't even take the tour anymore. Like when you go take the tour, when I take you, I won't go. I'll stay there sitting there because I've taken the tour so many times already that I don't even take it anymore. But the place is impressive. I mean, they've got these 600-gallon tanks that the fish are swimming inside. So when you order it, they kill it right there. Yeah. No, you're going to walk, you go, just serve, put the steak on the floor. I'll eat it there. You're like, what the F is this kitchen, bro? There's not like there's nothing. It's like spotless. You know, it is impressive, the machine that they have going on at Burns Steakhouse in Tampa. I love that place. One of my favorite places in the world to eat. Big O, me and my family went to Burns Kobe A5. Okay. Remember, they grow some of their own veggies too. Yes, they do grow their veggies and their spices. They used to grow everything. They're not growing everything anymore, and they raise their own cattle. Okay? So the meat that you're eating is the cattle that they raised. That's the other thing. So we want low market cap. Yes, sir, Chase. You always want a low market cap because the high market, it's like the SHIB thing. You know, when somebody, SHIB's going to go to $1. No, it's not, dude. Oh, it's not. So you're going to tell me it's going to have more of a market cap than Bitcoin? Because that's what it would take. No, not going to happen. So, these are the things that what happens is that if you don't do your homework, you don't really understand what this is all about, you're not really, doing the smart thing in your investing. That's all. And then you're looking for things. Remember how we talk about with sports sometimes that fans get pissed off at their own team or players because they set unrealistic expectations? Boom. That's the person that tells you SHIB's going to get to 75 cents or $1. And it's like, dude, do the math. It's impossible for it to ever get there. And then they don't know what you're talking about because they never went to look at the market cap, where the price is now, and how many times it would have to multiply to even get to 10 cents. Forget about $1 or 75 cents. The amount of money it's going to need to multiply to get to 10 cents. It's crazy. So unless they're going to be burning 1 billion coins, every year, so they can really cut down the circulation supply, it's just not going to happen, man. Just not going to happen. Big O, have you eaten at Miami's Kitchen in Okeechobee? It's an old restaurant, been there for years. It's delicious over there. Where's that at? Miami's Kitchen in Okeechobee. Where in Okeechobee, doggy? You got to tell me where. I don't know where it's at. Is it the one on 27, like right where where Chrome and Okeechobee meet, that gas station that they have there's a restaurant there and all that kind of stuff. Is that the place? I'm not exactly sure. You gotta tell me exactly where on Okeechobee. I'm actually headed down Okeechobee when I go home now. I go west now on Pembroke Pines. I love taking that cruise, and I go out to 27th, and then I go down to Chrome Avenue, and then down to 8th Street, and then I start going east. So I am actually going to do that. Ricardo Cuchican, thank you, sir, for the love on the super chat. Very nice of you, sir. Man, I can't hear. Our offense is top 10. The defense will get better. Chubb meshing, X healthier. Byron coming back for future contract anywhere. Kohu developing. Remember the Bucs Super Bowl year. Improve the second half of the year. Why is everybody meshed? Ricardo, let them do it, bro. Don't listen to them, bro. Just stay here. Okay? We're the platform that's got already a house in Phoenix. Okay? All right? So, for us, we think anything's possible. And I love this team. I know that they've got their issues. I know they've got their injuries and some of their setbacks. And so, I understand all of that, but I feel good about this team, man. Listen, for years, I tell you how shitty they are, how much they can't win, how much that this quarterback can't get it done or that coach can't get it done. Some of you would get so pissed at me because I was, not giving the Dolphins a chance. And I've only been super positive about what's been going on here because I see a completely different team than a lot of the media members. There's no way, as much as I love Joe, how he was closing out that interview that they're lucky to be 6-3. No, dude. They're supposed to be 8-1 or 9-0. The NFL's lucky that Tua got injured. Okay? That's what it is. The NFL is lucky that Tua got injured because Miami would be talking about Miami and Philadelphia like we're headed for a Miami-Philadelphia Super Bowl. That's what they would be talking now. But because they lost him for the 3 games, it kind of takes the shine off. Okay? Don't, that's what I would tell you, Ricardo. Forget about these people, dude. They don't care. And they don't really follow our team. That's the other thing. Especially these national people. Like I'm hearing Florio, all this about Tua this week. It's like always moving it's the coach, it's the receivers, it's the scheme, not the quarterback, of course. No, it can't be the quarterback. How can it effing be the quarterback? It's a joke, dude. No, that's what I would tell you. 1, stop living in the past. And 2, stop listening to the haters because maybe that's what they want to do. They just want to troll your ass. And that's the other thing about sports nowadays. Hell, even all kinds of other genres. What is the host trying to do and what is a writer trying to do? Do they really believe what they're writing or telling you? Or are they just trying to troll for more clicks? That's the part that kind of, that's the part that pisses me off about all of this. Because I've been in the business long enough and I've watched it evolve from just calling it like you see it to let's play the show game. What can we do to stir it up and create more controversy and be a part of the story almost? See what I'm saying? And that's the sad part about what's developed into our business. All right, folks, it's 1:11. I've gone over 3 hours. I've got to pace my voice. I appreciate all of you out there. As always, thank you. We will see you guys tomorrow afternoon, 1:30. We'll get you ready for the Canes and Golden State, Georgia Tech. We'll be out at Walk-Ons in Kendall. We'll be out there, so come on by. We'll have all the giveaways. We'll have some fun, so come on out and join us, man. We got to thank Ira Winderman, Manny Navarro, Joe Shad, Scott Pianowski, Cameron Wolfe. We thank all of you for tuning in. Anyone that sent in a super chat, thank you. Remember, you can always make a donation through Cash App or Venmo, And you know I love my Bitcoin donations on Cash App. You can always send that, always. And Sean Stanley, sir, thank you for mastering the entire platform like you do every single day. We will see you all tomorrow afternoon. Same place, same bat channel. Have a good one.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.